were when the bridge collapsed in Southern California. He's like, dude, we ain't using
Nerdigans, no one knows what you're talking about.
This is a warning to all living mortals. That who shall ever open this chest of demons will release 13 of the most terrifying ghosts upon the face of the earth. Okay, cut it. This isn't going to work. Let's try some nostalgia bait.
It's mighty strange. You looking at the leafy rain. I can't settle in bed. Or have you picked your dog yet? It's in bed. Got your dog bite. It's in bed.
Okay, that was better. But let's try something a bit more cinematic.
You about to witness hip-hop in its most purest, most rawest form, flow, almost flawless, most hardest, most honest, known artist. Chip off the old block, but old Doc is looks like Batman brought his own Robin. Oh God, Saddam's got his own Laden. Off the hinges, oranges, peach, pears, plums, oranges. Yeah, here I come, I'm inches away from you, there, fear none. Hip-hop is in a state of 911 zone. Let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around. What is this? Must be a circus in town. Let's shut the shit down on these clowns. Can I get a witness? Hell, let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around. What is this? Must be a circus in town. Let's shut the shit down on these clowns. Can I get a witness?
Yeah, that's the shit I like. Let's start the Barroom podcast. Take it away, Jacob.
What up?
T'Challa! King T'Challa! King T'Challa!
Wakanda forever!
Is that what they call it now? Is that what Atlanta's called now? Wakanda? Is it official?
Yeah. No, T.I. legitimately...
Peter get here?
No, hold on a second. Not Tim Pool. Yeah, you got screwed up. T.I. literally called Atlanta Wakanda during the 2020 Summer of Love. He did a press conference with Killer Mike down here when the city of Atlanta was burning, and he literally unironically called Atlanta Wakanda.
So, is it Wakanda now?
I mean, there is a lot of black people here. So,
No.
I mean,
No, it's not.
Wakanda forever.
Trump wants to build 10 new cities. Maybe we're going to get Wakanda. You know, Wakanda, Georgia. Okay, nobody likes that idea. All right, fine, whatever. Fine.
This is all Cider's fault, by the way. This is how we're going to start the show here. I'm not even acknowledging the chat or anyone who's here on the show. We're going to play this unironically. This is T.I. from 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago now, during the Summer of Love, saying that Atlanta was Wakanda.
This is the place where people like me, Killer Mike, other artists, creatives, other people who come from our culture and other people who rise up out of the wreckage of the struggle that we all experience just by being born a certain color in this country. But Atlanta is a place where we can set an example of prosperity, and we've done that for generations. People like Dr. King, Maynard Jackson, Ambassador Young have paved the way for us. And when everything else goes away, when you don't get treated right in New York, when you don't get treated right in LA, when you can't get treated right in Detroit, when you don't get treated right in St. Louis, when you don't get treated right in Alabama. Atlanta has been here for us. This city don't deserve it. However, I understand that a lot of others do. But we can't do this here. This is Wakanda. It's sacred. Must be protected.
Did he have a black eye?
So,
Yes.
what's the common denominator in that situation that he just rolled out? When you're not appreciated in LA
black
or
people.
Detroit, it's like, gee,
I
what
almost said something racist.
Mhm.
are you doing there?
Because when
yeah.
Snyder's like, did he have a black eye? It's like, I could say something, but I won't.
There's a lot of there's a lot of ways you can go with that black eye, especially if you know about the Black Eye Club in Hollywood. It's all connected. Hey guys, this is episode 134 of the Ballroom Podcast. I know we're like 5 minutes in. You guys don't know what the hell's going on, but we've been doing a lot of talking here before the show started. So we were talking about the state of California.
Crazy.
Then we went into Atlanta being Wakanda, which if Atlanta is Wakanda, I think I prefer the Wakanda that was created by 2 Jews rather than the one that I currently live 30 minutes away from. That kind of sucks. But we do have some familiar faces, and we have some faces who haven't been here in a while. And I wonder if you guys can figure out which face has not been here in a while. Not to throw anyone particularly under the bus, who may be directly under me, but we'll get to him in a second. Let's go ahead and introduce everyone here in the show. Orange Hat, who's joining us. How are you doing tonight, Orange?
Oh, I'm fucking ecstatic.
This feels like it's going to be one of those shows. It feels like it's going to be one of those shows. We're really gonna have a
it's
good time.
gonna be. Oh, it's gonna be.
Mr. Roberto Roboto is here tonight. How you doing, Rob?
I'm spectacular. I'm good. I'm finishing up my medical coding classes, and that's great. And I'm gonna be certified, and I don't know. I'm gonna be selling Medicare supplement insurance soon enough. So I'm pretty busy, but I'm doing really good. There's no movies to talk about right now, and that's kind of depressing, but also not surprising.
Yeah, no, the first 3 weeks of this year have been awful. Like, the only film that's even new that's come out is that Den of Thieves movie. What?
Wrong microphone.
Is it?
Yep.
No, it's not. At least not on my end.
You got close to your mic, and it didn't sound like you were getting closer to your mic. You looked into your mic, and I didn't hear your voice get closer. I kept hearing the room. You want to do a mic check? Just kind of lean into it there.
Hello?
That didn't sound any different than anybody else, right? That still sounds like the wrong mic, right?
No, both of mine's on the Windows and on StreamYard. It's both coming out of this mic, so I don't know what's going on.
That's weird.
Cider, you're high. You're
Fucking
screwing up
weird.
my show.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You got close to the mic, and I didn't hear your voice get louder. I was like, that's wrong. Sorry.
What are you, retarded? So I know you're not retarded, but what are you, Down syndrome?
Pete's back with us. How you going, Pete? It looks like you're getting ready to knock over 7-Eleven. How you feeling?
Doing good. Very cold.
It's actually pretty damn cold. I'm not gonna lie.
I live in a converted garage, and only half of the garage was insulated, so it's a little chilly in here. A little chilly.
Aren't you in Ohio or somewhere like in the Midwest?
South Dakota.
I'm in South Dakota.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, I keep tabs on where all you people live, by the way, just so you know. That's not creepy.
That's totally not stalkerish at all. So, fortunately, though, Rob doesn't have a car, so you don't have to worry about being attacked anytime soon. Cider, how's it going there, buddy?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Very much so. And then Nerdigans, who is probably the warmest out of us all, even though she will tell you that she's the coldest because she likes gaslighting people. How you doing there, Nerdigans?
I'm doing okay. I'm actually I'm warm, actually, because I, for once, had my heater on. I was being cheap.
Yeah, what is it, like 50 degrees out there, like right now?
It was 30 earlier, but now it is 60 degrees.
60.
It's 8 degrees where I am.
That's 60. It's 24 where I am right now in Georgia. So it snowed today. That's how cold it is here.
Do you folks under the Mason-Dixon even know how to handle temperatures below 50? Or is this like a whole new apocalypse for you guys?
I mean, it depends, but there was a light snow earlier today, and then that started to freeze over. So the road should be fun tomorrow. That's for certain.
Did
So,
anybody
yeah.
get bit
Not yet.
by the snow? It bites. It bites. You gotta be careful. It bites.
Hey, it'll bite your car into a ditch. I'll tell you that much.
Especially the way you guys drive down there. My goodness.
Good times. Let's go ahead and introduce everyone in the chat right now. Neozoic is here with us over on the YouTube side of things. We're here on Rumble and we're here on X as well. All three platforms. Keith is over on our Rumble side. Shout out to Keith. Neozoic says that which WWE commentator duo would you rather prefer, Jim Ross or Jared the King Lawler? It's obviously Jim Ross, and I get it. Jim Ross is like 70 years old, and he sounds like he's had a stroke for the last 20 years. But I still pick Jim Ross over pretty much anyone else in the realm of pro wrestling.
Let me ask you. Well, pro wrestling, okay. Have you heard PPP over on Kino Casino recently? That guy should be doing ringside WWE. He's got it. He's got the energy for it, and he's fat enough to take over JR's position too. He can move right into that hat.
As I said, can you put on the cowboy hat and do an Oklahoma accent?
He is. He's Canadian too, and it works. I mean, seriously, you see him go off sometimes. He's really good for ringside. I hope they pick him up for something. He's good.
JR is so good. He only needs half of his face. Like, and I'm making a joke at his expense, but he's so good at what he does that really, like, it's kind of true. And
he and Joe Rogan ever
he's
double up?
One of the greatest to ever do it. I know you didn't ask, but I absolutely hate all of the WCW announcers. I hate them. Mike Tenay, Tony Schiavone, like Bobby the Brain Heenan's fine. You know what I mean? Some of the color guys are Dusty Rhodes was fine, but yeah,
what about Larry Sabisco?
He was bad. Yeah, but yeah, no, it's just Jim Ross is awesome. And Jerry the King Lawler made it okay to appreciate the bra and panty matches. So I'll say that he was an enthusiastic enjoyer of the ladies.
He also called Goldust a fag on live television in 1997. Actually happened.
He did. Yeah.
Was he wrong? Was he wrong?
I mean, in
terms of the bit, no.
They did say he's a liar. Before you normies out there, here's a question for you. Favorite show or movie with David Lynch? So he passed away recently. And you guys big David Lynch fans out there?
So I made myself watch his movies. Not a fan at all. Actually, I'm a big cinephile, not a fan of David Lynch at all. And it's a disappointment because he was so into film noir. But I will say he was in this movie with Harry Dean Stanton before he passed away called Lucky. And I thought that he was very good in that. So, and I like seeing David Lynch pop up into things. But yeah, he was just never my favorite filmmaker. But Lucky is definitely worth checking out.
Dune.
Who's David Lynch?
He was a guy who did stuff.
Twin Peaks.
And he died.
That's probably what he's
never saw it.
For. Yeah. And then Mulholland Drive, which I definitely don't think you've seen.
Never saw it.
Yeah. He did Dune back in the 80s. Eraserhead.
Never saw it.
The Elephant
Never
Man,
saw it.
Blue Velvet.
Wild at Heart.
Never saw
Wild
it.
at Heart. Inland Empire.
Never saw it.
And then I forget the one in the.
We get it. You're an uncultured swine.
Yeah.
Oh,
oink, Lost Highway.
Fucking oink.
Pete, you got any David Lynch moments fond in your memory?
I remember watching Eraserhead in college. And I did watch Twin Peaks, though I don't remember a lot about it. His stuff was never really something that I was interested in. Because he's like, look, I'm being so weird.
Yeah.
There's so much visual subtext. And it just doesn't do anything for me, so.
You know what, Pete? It would have been so much funnier if you had just said you had just watched that one movie in college and then said nothing afterwards.
You know what's really crazy is that like AI is going to enable us to take like David Lynch, David Lynch's style, and like have Michael Bay be the director. So you have David Lynch as like the writer, producer, and Michael Bay the director of stuff. Oh, it's gonna be great. AI is just gonna absolutely destroy these men's legacies. It's gonna be great.
Donald Trump just announced that he has a $500 billion project called Project Stargate. It's revolving solely around AI. So I'll let you allude that as you may here for all the conspiracy theorists out there.
No, everything's Stargate. Everything is Stargate. We have 5 different Stargates. If you know anything about the government, they just love the term Stargate. They apply it to everything. There was a highway program called Project Stargate. Anything they could apply Stargate. God forbid you call it Project Knight Rider. Something relevant to what it actually is, as opposed to some bizarre, ooh, it sounds spooky.
That's a great TV show, Stargate. Love it.
Nerdigans,
Movie was better.
Yeah.
Do you have any David Lynch memories you want to talk about?
I remember watching The Elephant Man when I was in high school, but and I remember enjoying it. I think I was at B'nai B'rith, which no, I wasn't. I was at B'nai B'rith, which is a Jewish summer camp, and there we watched like all these different like iconic movies. So we were we were very cultured up there, and this was in Oregon, so of course we were very cultured up there.
The one time at Jewish band camp.
Well, I have band camp stories, but there was no movies involved or anything like that. There's other stories for that.
Are there any band camp stories you can legally tell us on this podcast?
No, not really.
Fair enough. That's about what I expected. Who else is joining us here? Leslie Tarkin is here in the chat. Obviously, Orange Chat. You'll see him in the chat as well. Sakura Mita is joining us here. Twinkling star that shines through the universe. Who else do we got here? Vanya's joining us here tonight. Trickling in. Asked me if am I okay from last week. I'm fine. Did you guys see anything last week that would say otherwise?
You were clearly in a car accident.
Oh, great. Okay, that makes sense. Zero dose. You know it's bad when zero doses here. Jesus.
Yep.
Who else we got? DK saying that we're taking the pro wrestling industry back from the SJWs. Well, you got a lot to take back. So that's
tell me about it. It's almost not even worth it.
You got an uphill battle there, buddy. Penta fist bumped the kid playing Trump on Raw. Yeah, I saw that, and people were like, "How can you do that? He's Mexican." It's like, do you guys still think that Mexicans hate Trump? Like, are you guys still stuck in like 2015? Like, are we still doing this?
Are. They're gonna be blown away by that Asian guy, Tony, your homie, doing his Trump impression to sell those signs. Oh, it's so good.
I like Honda. Terminator Joe joining us here tonight. Probably common denominator. Who's not treating them right? Who would know? Who would not treat black people right in cities like Detroit and New Orleans and LA? Who would do such a thing? T.I. is literally
the Anunnaki. That's who.
T.I. is functionally retarded. If you guys know anything about rap or hip hop, he is not the brightest individual, and he's possibly a Fed too. So there's that.
Oh, I've figured that for a while.
Yeah, remember, like, what was it, like 15, 20 years ago where he got busted with a whole bunch of illegal guns and that case just went away?
Exactly.
Out of nowhere. that
Nobody
usually
ever said
happens, right?
Anything about what happened after that. It was just like, oh, okay, then he releases another album.
He went from looking at 30 years in prison to, all of a sudden, just everything just went away. That just normally happens in federal investigations.
Did he ever rap about a glow-in-the-dark man erasing all of his crimes?
Who knows? You maybe go
or about an island with very short people?
Not that I know of.
It wouldn't even surprise me if it was. That honestly is just how dumb that man is. Says Trump starting to make inauguration inside. I can hear Pete. Can Pete speak, Pete?
Yeah.
I hear what they're saying. For some reason, your mic's a little low, Pete. If you want to go into the StreamYard settings, you might have some kind of, like, it might have auto echo cancellation you out, and that kind of suppresses things like you're inside of a box.
Yeah, I have to turn that off every time I stream too, because that's very annoying.
Reduce my Testing. 3, 2, 1.
Still a little low.
Testing.
Yeah.
There we go. Hello.
Okay, sweet.
That's great. Thank you.
Right, when temperatures fall below 50, we jump into bed and cuddle. Yeah, that's pretty safe to say. Wakanda is so technically advanced they don't have an air force, but use actual rhinos for armors and tanks. Yeah, because it's the most advanced society on Earth, quite literally. But they still have to use primitive things to make it very Africa. So I mean, that make sense. That's great storytelling. Z-Kid saying that
You're
wrestling
right.
sucks. Not watching Raw.
It wasn't even like a mecha rhino that became like several little ninja robots or anything like that. It was just a straight up armored rhino.
Hey, don't
What
forget
the hell? They have monorails. What the fuck? I didn't even think about that. What the hell is that about?
Don't forget the force fields that gets lowered by the power of drums, because you know that also, that's also a real thing. Oh yeah, you guys must have not seen the second Black Panther movie.
You're gonna say Black Honda. That's what you were gonna say. You're gonna say Black
I was
Honda,
gonna say
weren't
something
you?
far worse, but actually I read myself.
Okay, well, you know more than I do on that front.
Oh, I guess I need my I guess I need my black card removed because I haven't seen the first one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You didn't go to the first movie in Dashiki, so you're obviously not black.
I'll tell you.
Oh yeah.
I didn't pay to see it, so all right. I didn't pay to see it.
Well, I mean, you were
I
white,
saw
so you
that
weren't allowed to
movie,
go
and
see it.
I went up to my friend who runs the theater, and I'm like, "Can I please have my money back?" He's like, "No."
Wow, that's messed up.
Goldust does in fact have a trans stepson, which is there's a whole lot of things going on with Goldust here.
So he has a freak. Got it.
Yeah.
Oink oink. Uncultured. Leslie says she's uncultured as well. Doba Fett is here.
Isn't Goldust Stephen Amell?
No, Goldust is Dustin Rhodes. He's the older son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
He was the guy that dressed up in that weird gold paint and had the wig and stuff. And
Yeah, he was that golden bitch woman thing that they had.
He was fantastic in the
way
90s.
back
He
in the
would freak
day.
everybody out. Yeah. I wanted to be Goldust. Just kidding.
I would never let
not
him
really.
near my kids.
Yeah.
But see, the reason why people hate Goldust now is because his character in '96 was a heel, so he was basically like using homophobia against like his opponents, which is something you can't do now because, of course, everything LGBTQ has to be shown in a positive light, so they don't like him anymore now because of that.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious, but yeah, that's.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
then somehow his little brother is now supposedly the guy who's running all of WWE. He's champion now, and they're claiming that the whole company is on Cody Rhodes' back. So funny how things have changed in the course of 30 years. This is where we're now.
Oh yeah, pretty absolutely.
Yeah. So that's everything as far as us goes here. How do we even work our way into this topic? Because I know this is what Pete's here for, so let's just go ahead and just get right on into it. Let's rewind here for a second to kind of give context of how exactly we got to this particular situation. About a month and a half ago, there was a video that circled on social media. It was literally an 11-second video of a video character's butt that was shown in a close-up, and people immediately labeled it GoonerGate. Melanie Mack was the first big one who really astroturfed this whole situation, basically saying that it was
It was Fred Roberts that started it, though, and then Melanie Mack jumped in.
Yeah, it was Dredge Roger who started it first. Wait, say it again, Arians.
It was Dred Roberts first, and then Melanie Mack jumped in.
Yeah, okay. But she obviously took a lot of the brunt for this, and, we'll get to Melanie Mack here in a second. As you all know, Melanie Mack is a self-proclaimed Christian, and I'll tell you how I feel about that one in a little bit here in a segment. And then as that started blowing up and people started figuring out, you know what, this is the hill that we need to die on because this is quote-unquote Gooner bait. This is porn, and then it needs to be banned. We need to fight porn all around the world. And then the two Johns came in here. And obviously, for you guys who are fans of the show, know very, very well about our old friends, our old buddies and pals, John Trent and John Della Rose, who are now tag teaming together over at Fandom Pulse after John's quote-unquote fallout with that Park Place. But essentially, they tried to, it was mostly Della Rose who really tried to get Melanie Mack on their side because they're trying to start this whole coalition of Christian conservative culture warriors, as they're self-described here, and they think that, oh, we can get Melanie on our side, that we can use her clout to build up our whole platform. And I don't know exactly how well that worked out in the grand scheme of things. Probably was better off leaving it alone. But that was like the big story for like a while. Cold Classic Cage covered it extensively on her channel. A few other big name YouTubers did. And after a while, after a couple of weeks, the whole thing kind of died down. It's like the heat was gone. There wasn't really much else going on there. And then somehow this topic came back in the course of like the last week or so. And it mostly came back because I guess Della Rose decided it was a good idea to go after bigger YouTubers who are obviously gamers, who are in the gaming sphere. As you guys know, I'm not really a gamer. I have a PS3, so I'm not in the modern day gaming sphere thing. But as I've said, the first time this whole thing happened, when I saw the video, I was like, look, this is not my type of game because it looks like one of those Overwatch Fortnite ripoffs, and I really don't like that style of gameplay. So when I saw it, I was like, it's just not a game for me, and I kind of left it alone and moved on. Like I said, everyone else decided this was the hill that they had to die on, because in order for them to get into heaven, they need to let everyone know that porn is bad or some nonsense logic like this. So this has led to a new coalition of gamers come out to speak out heavily against both John Della Rose and John Trent, who have been burning as many bridges as they possibly can on the Twitter space over the last several weeks, to the point where people who would have otherwise been on their side now no longer can't stand them. And this is a YouTuber here called Hypnotic, who I know has a pretty big channel. I think it's up to like 80,000 subscribers here. I'm going to play a little bit of his interaction here, because this interaction has led to a avalanche of just complete blowback of this whole situation, to the point that now people are debating whether John Della Rose is a furry. And I know that doesn't really make sense in how we got to this point. But I'll play you a little clip of
it goes so fast, man. It goes so fast.
So this is where the argument is. It was John attacking Hypnotic, and obviously Trent was attacking him here as well. But this is where the heat really started and just kind of spiraled out of control from here. So I'll just play a little bit of this.
Work.
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna let him rock. It is what it is. And here you are doing the same exact shit, and then trying to be disingenuous and calling me woke light. All right, bro. Okay, sure, buddy. So let me read the rest. Hold on. So I asked him about the Mario Kart thing and Nintendo and supporting DEI and all that stuff. You know what he had to say? Instead of actually responding to me and giving me an answer and saying, you know what, my kids like it, so I buy it for them, even though I don't want to support, I buy it, like whatever. Just whatever excuse. Obviously, it's fine. What's the answer? You can straw man with emotional hyperbole. That's fine. I don't need to fight, bro, but don't let this stuff go to your head. LGBTQ is the problem. We need to fight against it. Cheers. Wow. Okay. So that's a straw man argument by calling out your hypocrisy, by supporting something you say you don't support. Okay. So then at that point, I was like, you know what? It is what it is, man. It is what it is. I can clearly see. I was like, it's a genuine question. How is that a straw man? Again, man. And listen, I understand. A lot of the super religious people are going to stick together no matter what. This is something that's been happening for fucking decades, right? All the drama that happens in the church and everything, they all stick together. I get it. That's fine. You got some religious people in this chat right now that are going to support me because they realize, we're trying to have an open-ended discussion here against all agendas. All agendas. I'm sorry that you looked at the anti-woke GamerGate 2, whatever you want to call it, movement that you latched onto, and you thought it was about anti-gay, when it was about anti-agendas, period. It's about, I want good games. I want good storytelling. And yes, guys, sometimes good storytelling does feature a believable good gay character. Unfortunately, most modern day writers don't have the ability to provide that. They just don't. You guys know I compare a lot of gay characters from the West compared to gay characters to the East. If you look at gay characters to the East, what do they look like? Normal people. When you look at gay characters to the West, what do they look like? Rainbow flag wearing fucking losers.
That's true.
Yeah, so this is the whole thing. They got into it for a while. Then he had another another interaction with John Trent, who.
But before you get to that, I want to point something out. Something that Hypnotic pointed out in his conversation with JDA is that, and he exposed is JDA is a tourist. He only plays Mario Kart and MLB The Show. He doesn't play any video games.
Well, neither of the Johns are gamers. Like, this is kind of the thing. It's like they chose this hill to die on. Neither one of them are gamers. Like, they both admitted that, you know, gaming is not something that they actively are in. And like I said, I've even admitted I'm not in the active gaming sphere. Like, I know a lot of the references to like modern games. Like, I know of the games, I just don't partake in them, right? So I'm not someone who spends like hours, you know, on end streaming or doing the whole Twitch thing. Like, that's not me. But neither one of these guys are gamers yet. Because somehow they parlay this into, this is all it really comes down to. They started this whole thing thinking that they can bring Melanie Mack into their side and then make her kind of like their go-to guest, so they can do streams with her and like build themselves up based on, you know, her current fan base, because she split a lot of people up as well. Like, there's obviously people who are associated with, you know, geeks and gamers who are kind of like stuck in the middle of this whole thing, because obviously they clearly don't support a lot of the things that she's been saying, but they also don't want to come out and publicly bury her as well. But because she's doubling down and tripling down and quadrupling down on her side of this whole thing, it's causing a massive rift in the gaming community right now. People really don't like that. It's probably not a wise idea for a channel called Geeks and Gamers to piss off all the gamers. I think that's a bad business strategy. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I mean, I only have like an associate's degree in business administration.
No, Jacob, it's great for views when you call your audience gooners, when you call them porn addicts and tell them they're possessed by gay demons. It's great for business.
And then another thing here, I guess this little side scroll here, Razorfist kind of came in here and he gave a opinion that kind of lines in with Melanie Mack. To my degree, I've only seen like his original tweet. I don't know how far he's kind of doubled down into this whole situation, but obviously people have been throwing shade at him as well. Then you have the Quartering, who's kind of backing Melanie Mack because of his partnership with her. So he's trying his best to kind of support her in all things that are going on.
He's in quite a predicament anyway. You know,
Yeah,
that
both
stuff
those
about
people.
sticks and hammer there.
Yeah, both those people can be disregarded. I mean, I have my own biases against both of them, like any shit poster does on Twitter. But after they came out in full support of Melanie Mack, it was like, oh boy, you're really throwing your following under the bus here.
Yeah, so like I said, we'll get to this furry stuff here in a second, because I know a lot of you guys, wait, how does furries tie into this? Let me back up, Jared, for just a second. I want to go to Pete here, because Pete definitely wanted to talk about this from his perspective. I know you've seen a lot of the tweets that have been going back and forth. I know you kind of been following this thing since it started. What's kind of your genuine take on this whole situation and all the players involved? Because now this has become quite literally, this all started from like an 11-second video of a video character's butt from like a month ago, and now here we are, and in the year of our Lord 2025, and it's become Mortal Kombat here within content creators. So Pete, give us your intake here how we got here.
Insight, you can only get it here on Society
exclusive.
Show. That's right. Let's just call them what they are. I don't like the term, but they are SJWs. They're just on the different side of the line. That's all this is. It's a power play. It's people feel that the culture war is won, or now the culture has shifted towards their side. Part of this is because of Trump won, but also because the economy is crashing, and with the incoming Trump stuff, all the big corporations are pulling down their DEI programs. Now, we don't really know if that's for reals, or if this is just like, well, we're just going to take the word DEI off and we're going to put something in its place. So it's hard to tell on that, but that's kind of the meta for what's kind of pushing all this. All these people think, okay, here's our chance. Now we get to be in charge. And it is exactly what happened back in 2014 when all this woke stuff started to take over. It is the same mentality, the same mindset. It's this idea that I know better and I should be able to tell everyone else what to do. And people are like, no, we did not sign on for that. And they're like, and obviously, this is one of the great things, because unlike back in 2014, this time the center held. Maybe that's because the right doesn't really hold on the institutions of power, but it has. People have overwhelmingly rejected this, and it's wonderful. And I don't like to get into the nitty gritty and sling mud, and I read a lot of it, and it's funny, but people are rejecting this outright, and I think that's wonderful.
And like I said, I said this on the show several times when we covered this a couple of months ago. It was like all of these guys came together as if this is the one issue that defines the Christian faith all around the world. It's like, guys, this is not the hill to die on. If you want to go all in on degeneracy in video games, we mentioned this before here too in Nerdigans knows this. Wasn't there a game that came out like 2 years ago that won all these gaming awards where like a dude had sex with a bear? Like, well, isn't that something that you probably should like?
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate 3, and that's the game. Like, isn't that kind of the one you should probably like die on? Not, and then the context of the video itself, it was that it was a DLC suit of a character of the game doing some kind of a sexy dance in like an underwear, and of course some guy had the camera pointed up to her butt and say, "Oh, this is GoonerGate." It's like, yeah, the video is GoonerGate, but to say that anyone who likes this is also Gooner, it's like, first of all, most people don't even have access to this game. They don't have access to this character. This is not standard gameplay for this whole situation. So the whole blow up here was just very stupid to begin with, and because people couldn't put their ego and their pride aside, it has now gotten to this point. Real quick before I go to Nerdigans, we do have a super chat here. Darth Ballsy here saying that I recently learned that there is a legit gender, according to gender studies, that there is a gender called butch. And I'm curious how many ways that they need to say that they're ill. I feel like that's probably the Nerdigans area here. But I do appreciate your $10 super chat there, so we definitely appreciate you there.
Last time I checked, there's only 2 genders.
Yeah, now legally there's 2 genders now that Trump's back in office, but we'll get to Trump
there
later
is
on.
like butch is used for like to describe lesbians because there's masculine lesbians.
Masculine, yes, lesbian, yes.
I get caught up in
I do want to say just real quick, I think all of this for me goes back to censorship. You know what I mean? I've always been a First Amendment advocate. I've always been about freedom of expression. If you don't like something, don't watch it. That's that libertarian aspect of myself. And so I'm against anybody kind of trying to, and that's all this is. It's censorship. You don't have to engage with it if you think it's degenerate, but at the end of the day, you don't decide what's right for people, and has no bearing on what their morality is either.
And that's the real big overarching question problem here. And well, like I said, I'll have a little bit more insight, especially from the Christian perspective of what's going on here, because what you're seeing here is really a precursor to a much bigger problem that's going to arise sooner rather than later. But Nerdigans, I want to get your insight here because you have been following this whole thing extensively, and it's now gotten to the point where, like I said, John was probably better off just leaving this whole thing alone from the start, or at the very least not re-engaging back into it and creating more enemies. But I mean, hey, what more can you say here? What is your take on this whole nonsensical debate here?
Well, JDA just couldn't help himself. He wants the attention. He wants he wanted to. Well, I like when he started getting into like this holy crusade shit and saying that I am Trump's holy crusader and we're gonna like stick it to they them and take them out and all the Project 2025 stuff. I'm like, okay, now we're heading into LARPer territory. And then Madam Savvy dug up the furry tweets, and there's a lot of them. I have it documented. There's a lot of them. And he's denying that he's a furry. I'm like, dude, you have a lot of them. You have an alt furry account. You have you were talking about cocking it, for fuck's sake, for a furry book that you were gonna do.
So to give you a little context here, Savvy is one of the content creators that both Johns have been going after for quite some time now. They went after her, I guess, when this whole thing first initially started, and she was pushing back on them. And like I said, both Trent and Della Rose were responsible for going after her. Like I said, for a while, this whole thing did subside until they relit this fire here over the last week or so. But now Savvy has been responsible for digging up a whole bunch of old tweets dating back from like 2017, 2019 that could allude that John Delrose has some furry history in his.
Well, let's be clear. She only found one tweet. Like other users found like a bunch of other furry tweets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like she got the ball rolling here, and now Delrose is claiming that those were jokes from the, I guess, GoonerGate war campaign days, which I have no context of whether any of that is true or not. But it's at the point now where you've basically made an enemy with absolutely everyone, and I guess that's a great thing if your whole gimmick is drama farming, because now you have more drama than you know what to do with. And of course, now his old buddy Ethan Van Sciver is also highlighting this whole situation now too, asking some very, very unquestionable questions. So yeah, we're now all back into that thing now. So from my perspective, I look at it like this: if JDA is looking for clout, he certainly has some now, because now virtually everyone hates him, and he's public enemy #1, which I'm pretty sure in his mind is still a good thing, because that's how twisted and demented his whole like brain works. But we'll get to the Trent part of this as well. But Orange,
before we get to that, I do want to mention the one thing that really got the ball rolling on all this is when he denied that the Satanic Panic never happened.
Ridiculous.
And he got community noted for it.
Yeah, that shit happened.
Yeah, by the way, go ahead, Orange. I'll go ahead.
I mean, look, folks, you all know that I'm sort of like a non-denominational Catholic, but when it comes to the Christian crusade that Trent and Della Rose and other people who are jumping on the bandwagon, look, last time I checked, the Crusades ended in violence on both sides, and nobody looked good. Secondly, when it comes to this is fucking video games. First off, dying on that hill is just pathetic. Secondly, and don't take any for the Christians in this, do not take this freaking personally. If you are going to literally start tossing stones, I believe there is a fucking passage in your Bible that says, "Let he who has sinned not cast first stone," or thereabouts, probably paraphrased. But last time I checked, you guys weren't just throwing stones. You're fucking using catapults and shit. And let me tell you, you're only making yourselves look stupid. Oh, John F. fucking Trent got in with me. I believe Nerdigans actually shared one of my things from it. But it's like, dude, free speech, for one, is a God-given right. Well, weaponizing free speech doesn't fucking matter. I don't give a fuck if they say the worst, horrifying fucking things. That just makes me not want to associate them or associate with them. But I will defend the right to say that shit. And secondly, you trying to silence my voice is only going to make me be against you. There is no way I will ever be with you if you try to silence me. And you can come at me with your holier than thou horse shit. And you want to know what the truth is about all of it? Your God will look upon you in shame, because you are placing yourself above others, casting those stones when your whole house is already shattered around you. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this. John Della Rose, dude, if you're a furry, fine. Go to Vegas, get in a suit, rub up against a couple of people till you jizz in your fucking suit. Do that whole like they did in CSI back in the 2000s. I mean, nobody's gonna fucking.
I'm sure there's Catholic furries out there. He wouldn't be the first one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's furries for
Probably
fuck's
some
sake.
priests too.
And as for the video games, let me just finish. A fucking ass jiggling in a video game, and you guys lose your shit. Why the fuck aren't you losing it on Melanie Mack? She's fucking doing the skimpy fucking cosplay shit. She's fucking doing freaking promotions in bikinis and shit. Last time I checked, that wasn't something that Christians usually do. So yeah, why the fuck or how the fuck can you say that you are not a hypocrite at that point? So yeah, eat a dick.
And
they're not hypocrites when they do it.
Just real quick, Cassie and me, we were on a episode of the Bar Room arguing with John Trent about some of this shit, where it was just like, look, we can agree to disagree. You know, we don't have to have the same exact morality. And he was basically trying to make the argument there is only one ideology or morality, and it's like, I mean, he's a Catholic, so I just think it's hilarious that the guy's own denominational faith has all of these skeletons in the closet. Like, they're not perfect, you know, regardless of what you believe, you know what I mean? And so this goes back years But for me, it's always just been about like, look, if your ideas are good, then people will follow. If they're not, they probably won't. And just let the cards, on the table kind of thing. But this has been a long time coming, unfortunately, for these two individuals.
It's and I will get to MSK here in a second, but here's the big problem and disconnect. It's primarily with the Catholics, right? It's that they forget that there is a reason why God gave human beings free will, and that free will means that they have the free will to choose to follow him, and they have the free will to essentially reject him. But at the end of the day, that's their choice. So these guys, in a way, are trying to find some kind of a new way to legislate morality, to kind of force people to conform to their way of thinking, which isn't even a biblical way of thinking. It's the Roman way of thinking, which, like I said, I have a whole rant to unload on these people once some of you guys get in here on this thing. But it goes to show, like I said, ego run amok. It goes to show pride run amok. And I know a lot of these people, especially the self-righteous people like the Melanie Mack and the two Johns here, in their mind, like, the LGBTQ and porn is like the only two sins a human being can commit. So they think that if they're really, really loud against those particular sins, that somehow God looks upon them in favor, and not realizing that there's a whole bunch of other sins that you can commit too, especially pride, because pride is directly what actually leads to unbelief. It's actually considered the worst sin of them all, because it's the only sin that's unforgivable. Go back and listen to the Fall of Satan if you guys want to figure out how bad of a sin pride is. But before I get to that, MSK, you're back here and you're black and you have opinions about this whole situation. What is your thoughts on?
I have opinions and I'm black? That's crazy.
Exactly, right?
Okay.
And, what's your thoughts on all this? I know you're more in line with the whole Melanie Mack issue than the two Johns like we are. So what's kind of your take on what she has contributed to this whole situation?
I've seen everything unfold. So the John stuff is weird because I just think they're just mentally unstable, honestly. For just going off of just shit that we've noticed. Like, I'll start it here because we have to start it from a base point of view, because a lot of people that are, let's say, going to watch this on the replay, because I know you have people that watch on the replay. So I think the reason why Melanie's retarded is because she doesn't even know what people are angry at. Okay, so what are people angry at as far as the companies? They do, let's say, fans like us, right? This is objectively speaking, right? Objectively, fans do not like when their favorite shit is getting shitted on, as far as like changing up lore, race swaps, gender swaps, could be anything, right? She's talking about all this shit in video games and all this other stuff, right? So I don't think someone like her, when you watch her video, because I did and I almost wanted to hang myself. I was like, man, the bridge is looking really good right now. She doesn't even know what she's even arguing. Like, this is ridiculous. She doesn't even know why people have issues with things the way they are. That automatically means she's already lost the plot. Like, these people think you're like, we don't want gay people or lesbians in games. That's not true. The only thing I'm really against, if people know, is just trans stuff, because I don't think you could be trans. There's only two genders. But if you're gay or lesbian, you're cool with me. I'm not sucking your dick. But that's because I'm a flaming heterosexual, So the reason why people don't like when gay people and lesbians are inserted in games is because they are not done justice. All these dudes talk about is sucking dick. I literally, if you watch the Gossip Girl sequel series, there's a gay dude in there, and all he's talking about is banging dudes. I mean, I'm pretty sure most gay people, if you meet them in real life, there's more to them than just sucking dick. That's why people have a problem, is because it's just shoehorned in there and they have actual no personalities. That's the reason why. It's not because they exist in games that's people's issue. Like, no, gay people can exist in a game just as long as it's organic and authentic. So I don't know why people are going down this road to defend her. Like, do people know that she has a ponchita in her room? That is from an anime called Chainsaw Man, where the main character literally just wants to fondle chicks' boobs. Now, I don't know any Christian in my life that I've met that, watches anime, because it's kind of, not stuff Christians should be watching, because lustful intent, all other stuff, right? If someone is, because the reason why she's different from other people, because people aren't getting this, because people on Twitter are just morons. She is preaching morality to you. That's different. See, I don't claim to be more moralistic or hypocrite or any of that stuff. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. But I'm not a Christian, right? I'm not a Christian like a lot of people might be here or online. It's completely different. If someone is preaching to you about what stuff you should be doing better, then she should be doing it. That's the essence of it. That's why people are going like, wait a minute. This person's defending Stellar Blade, Lollipop Chainsaw, Chainsaw Man, Laura Croft, she said wasn't a sex symbol. Can we just amend the 19th Amendment? Can we get rid of that? That person's going to be voting in the next election. That's crazy.
I think she did vote in the last election. That's the scary part.
And the whole, yeah. Oh, sorry. And just the John stuff to go off. John JDA, bro, you was bugging out. Log off Twitter. Go get laid, man. Bro, I was tripping out. Bro, I was saying people. Okay, I'll say this. John's biggest thing is people saying he's canceling him. It's not true. Now, you know what's crazy on the internet? You could find so many comments where you could see this. Not a single person, none of you, not myself, have asked for that guy or the other guy or her to be taken off any platform, to be removed from losing monetization. Not a single person asked for that. That is just a lie. And if anyone says otherwise, they're retarded and their mom should have aborted them. Because you are stupid if you believe that. Never happened.
Cider, let me go with you here for a second, because like you and me are probably the closest ones to the Johns outside of everyone else here on this stream, because obviously you go way back with Della Rose, I go way back with Trent, so we know these guys probably better than even the people who are currently attacking them on the internet for right or wrong reasons, obviously. So like, what is kind of just your view of how this whole thing is going? Because from John's perspective, knowing Della Rose for a little bit as well, like I said, it just feels like he's just trying to engagement farm as much as he possibly can right now to kind of play off the outrage. So one, of course, he can obviously frame himself as the victim and try to get supporters from that aspect of it too. But one thing when it comes to Della Rose, he really just cares more about the clout than anything else. Where with Trent actually does believe the stuff that, you know, he says. That people were asking, do you think that this is all just a gimmick? It's like, with Trent, I don't think that it is. I think that Trent is just completely blinded with pride, which we'll play a little bit more of that video here in a second. But with Della Rose, I just think that anything that can get him attention is a plus for him. Even this whole situation, he'll find some way to spin it as a plus. Is that kind of what you get from this whole situation, why he's just going after so many people and causing so much uproar over the last few weeks?
So to preface this, to kind of explain things, I ran with John for about 2 years. We did shows together, talked every day, that kind of stuff. One of the things that I was trying to kind of usher him out of was this delivery of being a used car salesman. It's like the energy he gives off is he knows what he's trying to sell you isn't, the best, but he's going to tell you that, and whatever it is. And that's why I call the two of them J&J Use Jesus sales. Because they're just trying to shop Jesus around. They're like, hey, do you want some Jesus? He got a 50% off Jesus right here. Any way you can get into Jesus right now. And it's way over the top. And the other thing that bothers me about John Della Rose in this situation is that the guy is the opposite of what he's trying to force other people to do. It's the old don't do as I do as I say routine. You go look at his YouTube thumbnails. Those get brought up constantly. You forget the furry stuff for a second. His YouTube thumbnails have been colored with everything he's complaining about. His books are colored with it. One of the jokes when we were advertising his Ayla Rin series, the Mind Flayer, whatever that was, Mind, whatever. That comic was we were making fun of how big her boobs were. He'd start talking about Ayla Rin's large, and I would purposely interrupt, and we had a routine, right? Interrupted large tracts of land. He'd be like, yes, of course, they're large tracts of land. And that's the old routine from whatever Monty Python joke that was. And so there was constantly that. He even did like a who's got the best boobs in comics video. I don't remember which channel that had, but it was purposely to piss off Heather Antos because he put her at the bottom of the list. And it just, so here we are. He's like, everything is pornography so long as we deem it so. The thing you're not going to get these guys to do is show you the line. They'll complain about anything you show them, but as soon as you ask them, is Aerith from Final Fantasy VII overdressed? Is she the limit? Is Lara Croft wearing a bikini or perhaps completely naked in the poster in the locker room? Is that too far? But you can't get them to do that because if they say Lara Croft is too far, you're going to piss off Melanie Mack, and they don't want to do that because it's all about the clicks. See, the thing about John Trent, right? I had respect for him over his beliefs, right? It was one of the reasons why I left that DM group because I just didn't want to see like Catholics getting beat over the head with this stuff. But as I've watched John Della Rose and John Trent kind of circle each other with this, I've noticed that Trent's convictions conform to the clout of the moment. He doesn't want to talk to you about that old Leviticus thing, in Deuteronomy, where it says you're supposed to stone a rape victim that didn't cry loud enough. All right? Because we all admit that we're not out burning period blood every 30 days, are we? We're not out burning bed sheets that got a little red in the night, are we? No, we're not doing that. And I'm pretty sure Jesus isn't going to keep the gates closed. What's that?
I had my period last month. You don't know what I did.
Yeah, well,
silence, weirdo.
But I'm just saying, I just don't think the gates are going to stay closed because you didn't do the crazy things in Leviticus, all right? You didn't do the crazy things in Deuteronomy. You kind of stayed to the middle where you weren't stoning people and burning bed sheets every 30 days. It's just kind of one of those things. We're a little less edgy, but they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about the very strict order about how you interact with the moral dilemma of nudity, all right? And that's kind of like where they find themselves, is that Trent will tell you that beautiful women belong in media. But when you ask him how you want them represented, occasionally you'll get some Zelda. Occasionally you'll get some of the Lord of the Rings women, because he's got this very strange fixation with Lord of the Rings. I never understood it, man. Man on horse.
He loves Tolkien. He loves
Tolkien. Was very Catholic.
I guess, like, man on horse with sword. That's man on horse with sword. That's all I ever got out of that guy. But anyway, that's it. He's not going to extend himself beyond that because he can't defend it. And that's what I've noticed, is that his Catholicism conforms to the clout that needs to happen. There's no consistency there, because if there was consistency, well, we wouldn't be in this fight now, would we?
So a few things. Let me give you guys a little insight here for like how we got to the situation from my perspective. I've had multiple interactions with all of these people. Melanie Mack, about a year ago, I actually tried to get her to come on to the Bible Lynn show, because look, we've had disagreements over the last, a little bit, but I was like, hey, you claim that you're a super hardcore Christian. Won't you come to my show just to talk about Christian stuff? I don't want to talk about Laura Croft or any Geeks and Gamer stuff. It's like, you want to talk about the Bible? Let's talk about the Bible. Let's do that. Never really got a response for her after a couple of attempts. I didn't try to harass her or anything like that. So okay, fine, she's not going to come on, move on, whatever the case is, right? We've had interactions with other people who were close to Melanie. Shagsworth, we've talked about this with Shagsworth a few months back, who really just doesn't like the fact that, as a Christian, her profile on the internet is just her saying the word faggot over and over again, right? And that's kind of like her entire gimmick. And as a Christian, you're supposed to be I mean, look, I can look past the tattoos, because, look, maybe you got saved, after you got all those tattoos, and you can't get them all removed.
No, she
right?
didn't.
So it's like,
she got them after, because I remember back when she was really big into it, she got more of them, and people asked her, like, hey, you're supposed to be a Christian, like, why are you getting these tattoos? And she's like, well, God saved me and all, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that's the problem that comes with religion for most people, is someone could just easily cherry pick one thing.
Well, and it's actually very interesting you say that, because the biggest disagreement that we've had, and we've had a couple of back and forths about this on Twitter, it's like, well, you claim to be a Christian, okay, what is the gospel? Do you actually believe in the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus Christ for the atonement of your sins? And she kind of really doesn't, which is a twisted, self-righteous a gospel that a lot of Christians believe in. Now, I'll go into more detail about that when we do Sunday show, but that's my
point. Can I add to your point? She literally, apparently she believes in God, right? So God made you in his image. It's literally word for word. So he made women the way he wants them to look. Naked, good looking, right? So does she have a problem the way God made women? Because apparently her biggest thing right now is nudity, right? So if God made women in his own image, so he wants you to look at naked women. He just doesn't want you to, from what I'm understanding, like, he don't want you getting behind a girl and just zeroing in on her ass. Like, okay, that would be weird. Right, so
it's not quite the way you put it there, but here's what I said to the people like last week, right? I was basically saying that, look, normal heterosexual attraction is a good thing. If it was not a good thing, our civilization would be null and void, because everyone would be too afraid to follow one another. It's like, oh no, I like to go, like, it's perfectly fine to be like, hey, no, I like that girl's body, I'm gonna go talk to her. Like, that's kind of how a love relationship start. That's probably why you guys are here, because your dad thought your mom had a good butt. Next thing you know, you came along a few years later. That's usually how the whole circle of life thing goes, right?
I'm black. A dad. Black,
well,
crazy.
So you're an outlier, so we'll just leave it at that, right? So it's like, don't go so far to be like, oh, we need to be all against porn and degeneracy to start going after normal heterosexual attraction. Like, that should not be the line. That's with Melanie Mack. With John Trent, me and John Trent go back all the way to like at least 2017. We were friends for a while. I asked him to come on with Bounding a few years ago. We were always cool. I think the big point of contention is that, we never actually really talked strongly about faith one way or another. And then when I started asking him a little bit about, his faith, he started telling me some things. And I just knew that from the Catholic perspective, it really didn't drive what I learned from the Bible. So I actually wanted to have John Trent on the show so we can talk about this, because I knew that it was an issue that kind of divided us, but I knew that we were in a position where it's like, hey, just come on, let's talk about it from your perspective and make your arguments. And then he essentially backed out. He didn't want anything to do with it. And here's kind of the problem with Trent. And I've seen this happen multiple times over, is that Trent is so hard-headed in a lot of his views and a lot of his beliefs that he will literally burn down a bridge if he thinks that essentially he's crossing anything. Let's put it this way. If you don't align perfectly with his views, he has no problem absolutely cutting you off on a dime on something that could have easily been handled with just a one-on-one conversation, right? Like, it goes too far to he's so stiff-necked that I literally, if you guys recall this in the old Black Pill days, there was an episode of the Black Pill where Spencer and John literally argued about Elon Musk for an hour and 30 minutes because neither one of them had the ability to be like, hey, look, we're not going to agree on this. Let's move. The hour and 30 minutes. That episode is still up on Bounding in the Comics. Go look for it yourself. And then we've obviously had, the boat blow up with a lot of us here. He didn't like me because, I obviously speak out against the Roman Catholic Church. He doesn't like that. So he blocked me, got rid of me. He then went as far to essentially block all of you people because you guys were associated with me. He didn't want anyone on his, his group that was even associated with me. So Rob got blocked, Cassie got blocked, even Rick got blocked. And who blocks Rick? Like, seriously, who blocks Rick of all people, right?
What? To be fair, I did call him. I think I called him gay. I did some. I said something that
you probably deserved it more than others, but there were also people out there who basically didn't have any interaction with you. It's like anyone who was remotely associated with me, he didn't want anything to do with.
That is true. I was guilty by association.
Before I was on this show, I had Rick blocked for 3 years because he made some stupid reply that I didn't want to see.
Yeah, Orange found out like a year after that he was actually blocked by Trent. He didn't even remember.
Rob, I think you just muted me. I don't think you blocked me.
No, I muted. Yeah, I muted.
Yeah, muted, not blocked. So
how dare you mute Rick? He's nice to all of us. Despite our
but if you guys recall what happened with Bounding in the Comics about a year and a half ago, John abruptly left the site, right? Like, it was right before we went live on the show. This is like a year and a half ago. Spencer can attest to this because he was there too. He basically told everyone in the DM on Slack that, hey, look, 2 weeks, I'm out of here. Didn't tell us where he was going or kind of like why he was leaving. I asked him about it after the show because he didn't want to say what happened, after when we were all there. So I asked him, it's like, hey, why you're leaving? He basically told the story that, Bounding was censoring him because they asked him to tone down his articles, and he found that to be a form of censorship. He did not agree with it, and he walked away. That's his decision, whatever the case may be. He also said that, apparently we were trying to get access to Disney or something like that, where we were trying to become get some kind of access to MCU movies or something along those lines. We asked Shauna about this. Me and Spencer asked her about this. We had heard nothing about it. She reiterated that no, look, we basically asked him to tone down his articles because it was bad for SEO. He took that as a view of censorship and then left, right? And then that was kind of like the conflict point. It was like, hey, look, you're left. That's your decision. He got a job at that park place. It is what it is, right? It wasn't until John Delarose came into the situation, and John Delarose's conflict with Bounding was this. He wanted to take John's spot as Bounding in the Comics editor-in-chief. And clearly he was never going to get that job because Spencer is far more qualified to be the editor-in-chief than John was. So they went with Spencer. He got upset. This is the whole reason why he started Fandom Post in the first place, because he wanted to be in a position where he can be the editor-in-chief of a site, just like he wanted to be with Bounding, but he couldn't. And then the way that he goes about promoting Fandom Post is attacking Bounding in the Comics as much as he possibly can, saying that we're corporate shills, we sold out to Disney. Look, guys, I don't know if you realize this, it's been a year and a half. If we had some kind of nefarious...
I want to add to your point about the corporate shilling thing. So I had John Trent. There's a conversation video I had him on for my channel a while ago, I think like last year. So, you talked about, because he always mentions that he doesn't like sellouts. Both Johns do. Well, didn't John, he built Bounding in the Comics, didn't he sell it off to someone for a large amount of money?
He sold it.
So does that technically make you a sellout? I mean, just kind of how that works, right?
Go
ahead.
Did he seriously think that you sold out to Disney?
Yes. That's why John Delarose keeps repeating that, like, 'cause he got it from John Trent. John Trent's the one who told him that in the first place.
Who sold out his company initially up front.
Here's the thing.
Crazy world we live in.
John, whichever one you thought that Bounding sold out to Disney, do you think for 1 second that I would support Bounding if they did? You fucking retard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they would
And by the way,
just connect you with selling out as well, Orange.
And by the way, if anyone knows my work,
selling
especially
out through association.
And by the way, if anyone,
we're all guilty by association. We're all guilty by association.
but just real quick though, if anyone knows my work even before Bounding, I'm probably more anti-Disney than any of us in the conversation here. Like, I was covering the whole Disney when they were buying Fox, and I was telling them about all the bad things that were going to happen, and of course they all ended up happening. Shocker. Back when the whole Star Wars debacle, even around the time of like The Last Jedi, when I was saying, no, this thing is probably dead already, before anyone kind of admitted it several years later. It was like, I was the guy covering all that stuff beforehand. So of course, if Bounding was legitimately going to become a Disney shill, if anyone was going to jump ship, it was going to be me. Spencer has a lot of that same sentiment as well. So of course, the reality versus the two John's interpretation of reality clearly just does not jive at all. But that's why it's called such a big shift with those two. And ever since those two have joined forces now at Fandom Pulse, because guess what? At that Park place, John Trent found himself in a similar situation that he was in with Bounding in the comics a year ago, when he was being asked essentially to tone down his articles for SEO. He ended up leaving there again, and now they're both together where they can do whatever they want on their dirt sheet that you have to pay $5 a month to go subscribe to. That's whatever the case is. So that's why you've seen so much conflict with us. If you ever hear John Delarose attacking Bounding, that's the reason why. It really stems from the fact that he's butthurt that he didn't get Spencer's job a year and a half ago, and this is where we are now. And then Trent, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that whenever I see Delarose go on about Bounding, it's always how you're failing, how you're going down, how you're losing millions of subscribers. And they're picking.
He
up
told us a year and a half ago that we'd be dead in 6 months. So,
but there's no data. There's nothing to back up that argument. There's no comparison. I joked. I used that GIF from the American president. His numbers have nowhere to go but up. Because it's true. It's like when you're starting something brand new, any growth that's great, but you're going from zero. You're going from non-existence. So, I mean, I don't really understand that. But look, him becoming editor-in-chief of Bounding Into Comics, like, I have almost no relationship to Bounding Into Comics. I don't read it. It's like, I mean, literally the people I do the barroom write for it, and I don't even read it. That's how much I'm a self-centered individual. But like, the idea that he would be a good editor-in-chief, look at his trajectory since then. It's been nothing but trying to obtain power, he just keeps trying to roll up this momentum into something. And so all he would do is a self-serving job as editor-in-chief. Being an editor-in-chief is incredibly difficult. I could never do it. You know why? Because you have to consider a lot of shit that doesn't have anything to do with you. So I think that no opinion, because I haven't read the work, but I'm sure Spencer's doing a great job. I hear nothing but good things of the work he does. So. And I've been around.
Say this, though.
I've glanced at it every so often, and yes, he does.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, and I'm not saying this because because he's my boss, but I honestly will say that
he's my boss too. I don't respect Spencer publicly.
He's not my boss, and I respect him publicly.
Well, here's the thing, like, based on what I've heard from our sphere, is that ever since Trent left, that Bounding has gotten so much better, because John was trying to insert his religion into everything. And it really pissed people off. And like, some were saying that it was kind of like what leftists did with their cult LGBTQ woke shit. and it really was.
I will say this, and I will give Bounding credit on two instances here. One, I think that with Trent gone, it's allowed us to bring in new writers who have been able to expand on bigger topics. Like, obviously, you guys have noticed we've covered a lot more anime on the site over the last few weeks. We've covered a lot more movies and television shows. We've actually started to center our content based on the world of entertainment that we weren't doing before, because we were primarily focused on kind of the rage bait, clickbait articles that the two Johns love doing over at Fandom Post. So that's helped us grow a lot too. The other little ditty here that has helped us out a lot is this guy over here has done great work over the last year and a half building the YouTube channel over at Bounding in the Comics. If you guys have noticed that the subscriber count on Bounding in the Comics YouTube has absolutely exploded, and this is something that I was even bringing up to John right before he left, is that, hey, look, we have a YouTube channel. We don't really do much on it outside of one stream a week. It's like we kind of have a second platform here to kind of grow and be taken more seriously on the YouTube sphere, and this guy's definitely helped out a lot and bring up the Bounding YouTube. All of the intros that you guys see for Bounding in the Comics, all the music, this is all done by this guy over here. So yeah, Cider deserves a lot of credit for helping move Bounding in a much better position than we have been in the last year and a half there as well.
We all
So
love Cider here. We all love Cider.
Mostly all of us love Cider.
He does. Yes, I love Cider, and I love Spencer. Take
Is
that
the
in
apple
any way you
flavored?
want. Now, I will just say that real quick, because I really didn't participate. I did listen a little bit. I do see that Pete is right in that the Johns are SJWs, but it is not from the left, it's from the right. And they now see this as whatever platform they're on, be it Bounding, be it Fandom, be it or whatever they come up with, they are the arbiters of morality. They and only they have the esoteric wisdom, and it is their job to enlighten us. They are no different than those police in Saudi Arabia or Iran who are there to protect the virtue and oppose vice. They will be the ones to decide for all of us here what is good and what is bad, what is moral and what is immoral. And if we don't listen to them, we're heretics or infidels or Satanists or whatever else they want to come up with. They are always right. And this is why, they are getting into this fight and they are joined forces, because they are always right. They are never wrong. They are never wrong. They were never wrong when it comes to how they wanted to run Bounding. They were never wrong on Fandom Plus. They are never wrong on all of this latest brouhaha over video games that I really don't even know or follow. Please, I mean, the last one I played was Donkey Kong. Okay, so this is what
you're old.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
He means the arcade one too, not the Super Nintendo one.
That is true. That is true. But the thing is, they now are going to use whatever platforms they have to spread their gospel. It's not even necessarily the Catholic gospel. It is the gospel of the Johns. They are the true and pure voice. You know how I used to joke about Never Trumpers being the voice of true and pure conservatism as they kept supporting everything that Democrats wanted? Same thing here. No, I don't think they have those anymore. Just take me to a regular bar. I'll be fine.
Yeah, only hipsters go to those anyway. So.
What was that? What was that other thing he brought up earlier? Like this week, he was talking about there's no satanic panic it ever happened, and I was like, all right, that's just how you know you're hitting the crack pipe. All right. I guess.
To that point here, too, I just want to make this quick point. Yes, the satanic panic did in fact happen, but it didn't go down exactly the way you think. And I think next month I'm going to do a 2-part series specifically on the satanic panic. So if you guys want to hear my thoughts on this, because I have a lot of views about the satanic panic that are going to make both sides very, very upset, because I actually remember very fondly about what happened during those days.
There was this famous court case called the McMartin something trial. There's a TV
yes, it was
and everything
movie with James Woods and I think was it not Shelley Winters,
but it was like 15 kids all said like their teachers touched them, and literally never happened. And it was just like this, like, okay, what the fuck is this? Why is this happening? And just, but there were things like that where people overreacted to
You see, but it came to the
again,
idea.
I'm not saying that there wasn't anything like that going on in the 80s. I'm just saying there was an overreaction to.
Well, that was because we had that idea that children are always believed, but the children were being manipulated into saying these really outlandish stories about how they were being flown
What,
into
like
Mexico.
I'm a girl when I'm really a boy?
Yeah.
You mean like
well,
that?
Well, no, I mean they were in. Well, I'm not saying that case, but I'm not saying today. But back then, they were being flown into Mexico and being subjected to satanic sex rites, and then flown back in like the same day, and how they saw people levitate. This is no different than the Salem witch trials when they would also accuse people, and the adults believe these stories. They never questioned them because why would children lie? Now, it's not that children were lying, it's that children were being manipulated and led and coached and gonna
same thing we see today. It's the same thing we see today with the transgender ideology. And I'm not gonna lie though, Rick, it's this, we are kind of seeing the same thing happening now with, and I'm calling them the woke right because let's be real, they are the woke right. They're they're trying to make this comeback here and trying to say that that they're trying to say everything is satanic or depraved, and it's just so unbelievable. It's like, dude, did you fail history? Did you fail
everything
your
old is new again? Everything old is new again, and that's the thing with the Johns. Really, they both have this thorough sense of moral and intellectual superiority, and it is their job to enlighten us. And I don't think a lot of us need to be enlightened, especially when they tell people you cannot watch this game, you cannot play this game because it offends my morality, and my morality is the only true morality. We're
You know
facing
what it is,
this.
though? And you'll know these names, Rick. Pat Buchanan and Jerry Falwell. Okay, that's exactly what it is. It's these guys seriously. And look, you can, whatever, if you want to go there, you can go there. But like, 9/11 happened because gays are allowed to, you know what I mean, live in sin in America. Like, I'm sorry, I know that America's not a perfect country or whatever, but like going to those lengths, being a televangelist and instilling fear into people to give you money is just like. It's like it's the same thing. It's the same exact kind of playbook of we're going to demonize anything we can and try to instill fear.
Yeah, and here I'll wrap it up here with a couple of comments here. As far as the Christian part of this goes, because obviously Melanie Mack and the two Johns, they're all waving their flag that they're the Christian right and they're the Christian warriors and all this stuff. And I'm now seeing this with my own two eyes, that there are a lot of people in the gaming sphere who are now actively hating Christians and actually hating Christianity, specifically because of the actions of these three individuals, right? And to me, it's probably the worst thing about this whole situation out of everything that we talked about here, is because for a bunch of non-believers who are in the gaming sphere, whose only I guess exposure to quote unquote Christians is Trent Delarose and Melanie Mack, they're essentially the representation of Christ, as harsh as that sounds, to a bunch of people who now look at them as just the absolute worst, right? And they have reason to do so. This Sunday on the Bible Lens, I'm going to talk specifically about that angle of it in much more detail than I can do here on this show, simply because I need way more time to really talk about it and break it down than I'll have here on the bar room. So that's going to be my show for Sunday. As far as this whole situation goes with everyone involved, like I said, I think that after all of my interactions with these people, especially over the last year or so, to see all of this fall the way that it has, I think I've been pretty vindicated on feeling exactly the way that I felt about a lot of these guys going back for a while, especially with Trent, because there's a little clip here, and I'm just going to show just a quick minute of it, that Hypnotic had with John Trent, and seeing how Trent interacts with other people just goes on to show you that everything that I've been saying for like the last year or so is 100% spot on, because like I said, this is a guy who, if he views you as your enemy, he absolutely shuts you down and he absolutely shuts you out. Even people who would otherwise be on his side. And it's one thing to say that, I'm making things up and that I'm lying about this and that you can go ahead and you say that. But when you have to start saying that about everyone else in your circle, because it's not just me now. Like, you have people like Cassie who has experienced this. You have people like Savvy who experienced this. You have people like Hypnotic here. Other people are starting to see the same thing. The people at that Park place, or basically it's like, oh yeah, this is what you guys were dealing with a year ago. It's like, yeah, we experienced that here too. It's like, it's not just me anymore. So here's a quick little video here, then we'll wrap things up.
It seems like rules for Lee, but not for me is an interesting pattern for sure. It's a simple fucking question that I can't get an answer to. All I got was him basically saying to repent. That's literally it. That's all I got. All I got was him saying, imagine thinking you are smarter than the church created by God himself. When did I say that I was smarter than the church of your God? When did I say that? It was a simple fucking question that nobody wants to give an answer to, because you guys are angry that some random fucking person gave Pirate Nation a video of a dancing girl in First Descendant with $100 or $50, whatever, skin that is optional in a game that you don't have to play, with a camera angle that is not, it's not like it's required to be on her ass. The person put the camera on her ass. The person put the camera on her ass. And then you guys are going crazy over that, calling people all kinds of names, when quite simply you could just say, you know what, you can make the distinction and say perhaps there's different values, different interests, different whatever. Anyway, so I never said I was smarter than your God. I'm simply asking the question of something that you linked me. Try not to get angry over it. And then he said, please have the integrity to not lie to me when you can all see what you wrote above. And more importantly, have the integrity to stop lying to yourself. Jesus Christ is God. You can deny him, but all knees will bow. I don't know, man. All this talk about this shit, I feel like knees are bowing in all kinds of ways. And I said, I'm not lying to you. I asked the question, where is the lie? Please have the integrity to have the conversation without immediately grabbing your Bible and trying to throw it at me. He said, you did lie, and seems like a cop-out to me. He quote me. He said, seems like a cop-out. So by the way, when I say something seems like something, that's an opinion. That's not a factual statement, so it's not a lie. I literally said that's an opinion, not a factual statement. Thus, it wasn't a lie. Hence why it said seems like a cop-out to me. And at that point, he knew he was cooked. So he said, not interested in dealing with dishonest individuals. God loves you, repent. No, sir, you lied.
Yeah, that's pretty much how all of our interactions ended with them too. So like I said, these people are just not doing themselves any favors in this realm here, and it's probably only going to get worse before it gets better, because like I said, now everyone thinks that John De La Rose is a furry, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this whole thing blows up, because it's not going to get any better
I just want to point out that these people are not even looking at how reality works, and this is like, if you want to be a Christian or whatever, I guess, sure. How about go outside and actually preach to people, because that would probably do some good, maybe. You know, there's like Christians now, they'll be like the guys who hold the mics and talk to people about the Bible and whatever. That would have more of an impact on someone than sitting online and talking about how God loves you from some video games. Yeah, video games is the last place you should be like trying to convert people out of. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. If any of you guys have followed, the Bible Lens, I've talked about some really good Christian YouTubers who actually do actual work to evangelize the people, to make obviously the gospel very, very simple. You saw last week's episode, Mario DeMonte does very, very good stuff. Another good Christian YouTuber, there's a channel that goes to Israel, quite literally preaches the gospel to Jews in Israel, who shows them Jesus in the Old Testament, what I think is very, very good. Christian For Real's another guy who does great content here. Like, there are actual guys out there who are really making a difference on a spiritual level, and I hate to break this to the two Johns and Melanie Mack here. I'm gonna throw you in this bus here too. You reading about gay people on Twitter 24/7 excessively, you're not doing yourself or Jesus any favors by doing that. You're not converting one single soul to Christ by doing stuff like that, by calling people degenerates and faggots and all this other stuff. You're only making more people hate the God that you claim to serve. And guess what? That's going to come back and bite you in the ass big time when this is all said and done.
I don't like the term.
Not just them. It's going to come back to them in the afterlife if they believe that, because God will hold them accountable to the standards that they themselves place.
I don't like the term woke right, because I just think it's, first of all, I hate the word
hacky.
I got this in chat like months ago when I was like, look, I just hate the word. I think it's stupid. I think you can just talk about like ideological authoritarians, but basically it's like these people have no interest in trying to bring people in. It's another echo chamber. Just like the left has their echo chambers and the right has them too. That's all this is. It's just a way of being self-righteous online on a social media platform, and to basically repeat the same talking points over and over again without ever having to prove them, because everybody gets to feel like they're on the right side and pat themselves on the back. Because if they would ever start to ask questions, if they would ever start to dig past the surface level responses of anything, they would realize, like, oh, these people are full of shit and they have no principles. They have no standards. They just want to be listened to. They just want an audience. They are no better than the girls on Twitch who shake their asses. That's all I'm going to say.
That's
Can
all.
I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
I was going to say, while a lot of the focus has been on these two, I think this is a good test case for what people should expect. It's just kind of the truth of it that the right at the moment has a real grifter problem. And it's only going to get worse as it feels like the culture's beginning to swing back closer to normal or away from the Puritan, progressive side of things. You're going to get more people who, and I don't like to use this term all the time, but grifters, and there's just not going to be enough wokery kind of stories to meet the demand that they want. And so we are going to see more and more incidences of people who are escalating these kinds of stuff and who are trying to play more culture war because this is how they can grow their channels, this is how they can get super chats. And so people should take some of these early cases, learn from them, and grow a callus, because we're going to see a lot more of this kind of thing. And not just on YouTube, but even more to the mainstream. That's all.
Put it to you like this, Pete. Well, we're bringing 2016 back in the worst way, because now instead of like the Paul Joseph Watsons and the Lawrence Southerns, we're going to get the Della Roses and the Melanie Macs, and it's going to be far worse than what it was before.
I agree. Yeah.
Well, look, I know that one went a little bit long. Don't worry, because the two topics that I have on here are very short and very brief. So let's take a little bit of a reprieve here and talk about baseball, because I want to talk about baseball here in the show. The LA Dodgers are single-handedly ruining the sport of baseball right now. They are the New York Yankees on steroids. And basically, here's what happened. The Dodgers won the World Series last year. Great for LA. Woo. This offseason, literally every major free agent, quite literally in the entire world, has signed with the LA Dodgers, a team that has already won a World Series. I think they won 100 games last year, but Blake Snell, Michael Conforte, Blake Thinnen, Teoscar Hernandez, Haiso Kim from Korea, Royaki Sasaki from Japan, Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, all major free agents, and it seems like everyone is purposely choosing the Dodgers. This is a team that already has great players like Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and a whole bunch of other guys who just won a championship with them. So it seems like going into this season, if you're a baseball fan, the Dodgers are going to win 130 games in the World Series in a laugher. And if that doesn't happen, then everyone in the entire planet is going to laugh at them. So I know this is a topic that only few of you guys can comment on. This is the whole point. I made it very quick. I'll start here with Rick. What's your take on the Dodgers taking over baseball?
They're satanic. That's pretty
much I wouldn't even deny it, honestly. I wouldn't deny it.
It's all about this need to, quote, win, because they just have it in them. And I mean, their fans are there are some, I'm sure they're nice. There are some nice Dodger fans, but almost all the ones that I've met have been really horrible. Like that one time I went to the Diamondback game, the Diamondbacks won, and the fans still were leaving the stadium shouting, "Let's go Dodgers." It was ridiculous. So yeah, they're just feeding into this idea that they have to win all the time, and yeah, they're not being likable. But some of those players didn't do all that well at other teams. I don't know why they think that they're going to do great with the Dodgers. Snell struggled. Yates struggled. I know them because we follow the Padres down here. So yeah, I don't like the Dodgers. I shudder at the thought of having to go to Dodger Stadium. I will probably leave early, but maybe being Mexican, they won't beat me up as much as they would. I don't know. But yeah, they'll beat
you up even worse.
Yeah, well, assuming that I'm not deported. But
I mean, don't expect hospitality from Dodgers fans. I believe, weren't they the same ones who nearly killed the Giants fan in the parking lot of their stadium like 10 years ago?
Yes. But it feeds into that culture of entitlement that they have to win and that they're always going to win and that they always have to win because they're the Dodgers. Eventually, it's going to fall apart on them. They can't keep winning in perpetuity. And I don't care.
Guess what? Rob, what's your thoughts on the Dodgers ruining the sport that I used to love?
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees did it in the mid to late 90s, the early 2000s. I mean, really up until, I mean, they lost the Diamondbacks that one year, which seemed magical. The Kurt Schilling, Randy Johnson, Luis Gonzalez Diamondbacks winning, and I think that was 2002. But I mean, they continued to win until the Red Sox kind of got their shit together and had finally broke the curse and all that stuff. But look, this has happened before. I know sure it'll happen again. I would like to see some parity. I think the thing the NFL does so well, except for this season where all the favorites did fucking phenomenal all season long, betting and straight up. I would like to see some more parity in baseball, but I'm a Braves fan, so they just had a string of injuries last year. Hopefully they'll be able to compete with the Dodgers a little bit better. But yeah, the Dodgers have a ridiculous lineup. They've got great pitching. I don't really have the hatred for them that a lot of people do for some reason, probably because I'm a Braves fan and, they've given them as good as anybody has the last 20, 25 years in competition, in the playoffs, whatever. But they're a talented franchise. They're winners. So it's a little too hard to be mad at them, but yeah, they seem like they're enjoying an embarrassment of riches right now. So, but yeah, Freddie Freeman's a former Brave. I mean, Mookie Betts is an impressive player. And then they just seem to be adding on every free agency period. So, the rich get richer. The Padres are going to have to, do a better job of not being mediocre. I don't know.
Asking the Padres to do a better job. That was your first problem.
But yeah, so and they're in a division that isn't great. The Diamondbacks aren't great. The Rockies. So, I mean, they'll probably continue doing pretty well. And then just the National League overall isn't what it was. So,
yeah.
But
any of you other uncultured sports fans have anything to note here about the Dodgers, or are you guys just completely out of the loop when it comes to baseball?
Meh.
The Dodgers will get their comeuppance.
I tried to get into baseball, but I don't know. It just never hit for me.
Well, the thing is,
Babe Ruth retire yet?
Yeah.
Well, the thing for baseball for me is that it's more fun for me to just go to the stadium and just drink a beer and it's enjoying the atmosphere of the game. It's harder for me to watch it at home on TV or unless I'm in a baseball chat room, and that's when it's fun too. But
hey,
I mean, to A's games and Giants games, so and that's
the A's are in Sacramento now, so now's your chance.
Yeah, I know my dad and my brother are probably going to be coming up here to go to the games with me because my dad and my brother are huge baseball fans, and my dad's a Mets fan, a long time Mets fan. He used to work at the baseball stadium when he was younger. So
those fans and those players deserve so much better than their owner. I mean, I can't believe it's that same. Whenever I rewatch Moneyball, I think this is the same fucking cheap ass owner that wouldn't shell out for a stadium there, and it's like. And I was kind of watching them periodically last year because they were a story. They were good. They were surprisingly competitive for how shit their stadium situation was, for how bad, the home environment was, whatever. It's just, I feel bad for some of those players and, cause they've got some talent. So I wish them well in the future, but I can't imagine how difficult that must be.
Well, part of it was the city of Oakland's fault, to be fair. But the thing that really sucks about the whole situation is that Marshawn Lynch was fighting really hard for them too. And the fans were really fighting to raise money as well for the stadium. But yeah, the owner was just being a complete dick. It was to fail.
Real quick, just to show you just how bad things have gotten in Oakland. In the course of 5 years, they've lost all their major sports franchises. The Raiders went to Vegas. The A's are in Sacramento temporarily until they go to Vegas in a few years. And then the Warriors moved from Oakland to San Francisco. So all three of them are now gone.
Well, I'm puzzled why they went to Sacramento when technically Las Vegas does have a team. I mean, it's a AAA, and they could use that.
Do you know what
stage
Vegas
because
is like in summer?
they don't want to play. Yeah, they don't want to play outdoor baseball in July in Las Vegas, where it's like
Wow.
117 degrees.
It's also there's a little bit of a scam going on too, from what I've heard, and that they don't really want to go to Vegas. It's weird on how this.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame because I like the Aviators and I wanted to go see them.
Oh, and Double Fat brings up a good point. There's absolutely going to be a 2027 lockout. With everything that the Dodgers are doing right now, a lockout is guaranteed. There's no way to avoid it now.
Wait, wasn't there a lockout when the Yankees pulled this stunt?
I can't remember when the last baseball lockout was, but I want to say it was somewhere like in the mid 2000s, the last one I recall.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was the 90s, but that
was 94 where the season got canceled. Yeah, I remember that one, but I think there was another one in the 2000s as well. So
No, that was a smaller one, I think. It wasn't. It didn't really decimate baseball the way that the '94 one did.
Oh yeah, I know this is off topic, but whatchamacallit. Speaking of Marshawn Lynch, I was kind of debating whether I want to see that new movie that he's kind of in.
You don't?
Yeah, that he's kind of in with that Asian dude. Because it's been a long
I seen the trailer for that one. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the one with the two gay ladies from last year. Yeah, that's
You're talking about SZA and Keke Palmer?
Yeah. No, it's a different one. It's a movie with the guy from what is it? What was the Asian movie that just won Best Picture a couple of years ago? Was it
Everything Everywhere All at Once?
that one. That guy. That guy.
Yes, Q1, whatever's Indiana Jones kid.
Yeah.
Short round.
Yeah.
Say short round.
Yes,
the one where he's a real estate agent.
Like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I thought you were talking about the two ugly lesbians in that movie from a couple of years ago.
That's a hit. That's a hit movie. So what does that tell you?
Allegedly.
Yeah, I only seen the fighting in that, and I was like, oh, okay. It's been a while since I think there's been like a martial arts movie promoted. So I was like, oh, okay.
That has two Oscar winners in it.
Well, real quick, I was supposed to do this last week, and then Rick said absolutely nothing, and then we went long.
I was waiting for you to let me. I was waiting for you to let me.
Yeah. As we were doing outros, you were just waiting for me to be like, "Oh, here, by the way, here's Rick's top 10 best movies in 2024." As we're all getting out of here, so Rick, go ahead and give us your list. Don't take too long, but I did promise you time to your list.
I can run through these real quick, and if anyone has any questions or complaints, they can just let me know. All right, so I'm starting out with number 10, The Beekeeper, which is a movie that knew what it was and didn't pretend to be anything else, and it was fun and entertaining. Number 9, Saturday Night, a movie that I was not expecting to actually like, because I really don't care about Saturday Night Live, but it does have some very good performances from Gabriel LaBelle, Corey Michael Smith, and Dylan O'Brien. So they did a good job. Number 8, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, a movie that, again, I admire movies that know their audience and make movies to appeal to those audiences. And I'm not going to lie, when Robotnik says farewell to Stone, I actually was kind of touched. So it's like, I'm actually getting a little verklempt, which surprised me. At number 7, Boy Kills World. It's amazing that this, again, another movie that knows what audiences wanted, gave us a lot of kills, very interesting kills. You had Michelle Dockery playing this really crazy character, and Bill Skarsgård. Yeah, he's had an interesting year, some good, some bad. But again, I was entertained. I was really impressed. I'm sorry that it did not do well, but hopefully it'll be rediscovered. Number 6, The Bike Riders, a well acted movie. I submitted it for award consideration. I don't think it got nominated, sad to say, and I was impressed by the acting. Tom Hardy, Austin Butler, who's he's just doing such a great job, and was it Jodie Comer, who was the woman in this whole story. It gave us a look into this world that we don't usually see, so I was interested. And number
Kathy.
5, I'm sorry.
Oh, her name was Kathy. I'm just being a nerd.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Rob. At number 5, Dune Part 2. I know a lot of people do not really care for Dune or Dune Part 2 here, But I I love this world. I was fascinated by this world. I had some issues with it. I didn't like it as much as Dune Part 1. I saw Dune Part 2 only twice. I saw Dune Part 1 4 times. Yes, make fun of me if you must. But it was remarkably well acted, even by Zendaya, who, yeah, she's, our future legend. But I love this world. I was fascinated. I thought everything about it, almost everything about it, worked. At number four, a documentary which some of you might not have seen, Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. I was impressed that this movie did not paint him as a saint. They show that he had flaws, he had issues, he made mistakes, but I also know that the audience at the end was openly sobbing. And I admire that. I didn't cry. I rarely cry at movies, unless it's like Sonic the Hedgehog 3, where Robotnik is saying goodbye to Agent Stone. But this was a very well made movie. They gave us an insight into this man, and we learned things about him, good and bad. So I was impressed. The documentary. At number three, A Complete Unknown. And yeah, I admit I love Dylan. I've seen him twice. Yeah, the voice has gotten worse, but again, well acted story with really fantastic performances by Timothy Chalamet and um, Edward Norton. I like Edward Norton's version of Pete Seeger. He has him down perfectly, down to that little way he kind of cocks his head and the way he speaks. So I was really impressed. I love the music. I was not too impressed with Johnny Cash, but Joan Baez, the actress who plays Joan Baez, she might be a surprise Best Supporting Actress nominee. I don't think so, but we'll find out on Thursday. At, num- at number two, a movie that I don't think anyone saw, and that's only because it came out technically in 2020, but it was released in 2024 here. It's called Nowhere Special. It's about a Northern Irish how a window cleaner. He's very young, 33, 34, has about a 6-year old son, and he's dying, but the son doesn't know this. So he's looking for a family to take place. And what's great about it is that it keeps the story very simple. You don't have to go into great dramatic scenes, and all of the families would be good. They're all good in their way. It's not about it's not about finding evil people or like perfect people. These are flawed people, but they're also decent people who could take the sun. And it gives you a nice little twist that about the father son relationship. So and yes, I was moved. I would have cried, but I know I held it in. But I was touched, and it was well acted. So I was impressed. And my number one movie of the year, surprisingly enough, it's not Emilia Perez. My number one movie of the year is Juror Number Two. The fact that the studios that Warner Brothers has ignored this movie and just pretended it doesn't exist is shameful. It was well acted by everyone, well directed. Clint Eastwood, really at like 94, still shows that he can move a film perfectly. Um, the movie does not give you villains per se. Each of these people are flawed, just like in Nowhere Special. They're flawed, and you sympathize with them, but you also realize that they've done bad things. All of them. The juror number two, the various juror members who are taking their job serious, but some are like they don't want to have, they don't want to change their opinion because of XYZ. And the prosecutor who, yes, she's ambitious. She wants to move up in her career, she wants to win re-election. But when she realizes what is going on, she actually starts investigating and realizes, hey, maybe I do have the wrong guy. And the guy who's on trial, yeah, he's no saint. He's a pretty somewhat reprehensible person, but we also know that he's innocent. So it's well built, well crafted. How Juror Number Two is not at the forefront for Best Picture, and absolute garbage like Emilia Perez is just inexplicable to me. The Warner Brother people just did such a horrible job. They treated Eastwood badly. They ignored a very good film because Juror Number Two is the best film of the year, and I'm sorry that people have not been able to find it, and we're not given a chance to see it. And really, that's just better than anything that's being a front runner. It's better than The Brutalist. It's certainly better than Emilia Perez. It's better than Conclave. Maybe with The Complete Unknown. I mean, yeah, maybe. But all these other films that are being touted for Best Picture, no, none of them are as good as Juror Number 2. That's my list. That's my 10. And thank you, everyone. So I went as fast as I could. For me, this is fast.
Yeah, I told you not to take too long. You took 10 minutes. That's fine. That's good.
For me, that's short. For me, that's short.
Ironically, you are correct. And I know Orange Hat has a top 10 list that he would like to tell everyone about, but he's not a regular on the movie club, so he doesn't get to read it here on this show. So, oh well, let's go over to Donald Trump here, because Donald Trump is now the president of the United States. And Trump is back.
That's what I would have said too.
Trump is back here, and yeah, he's the president again. He's making the moves.
Don't take me, Donald. Don't take me.
I said earlier on the podcast, if he deports Rick, I will literally vote for him as Emperor of Earth. He will get my vote.
It's gonna be a fun year.
This was a scene from yesterday.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully...
Okay, pause just for a second. Why is Melania looks like she's at a funeral? Like, this is something you wear when someone dies. Like, what was this all
about?
Was she
Bitch
double league for
ain't
Carmen
having
Sandiego?
anybody's shit anymore. That's why she is dressed like
She's a
that.
20s gangster.
She is the
She's gonna pull out her
mask.
Tommy gun.
Exactly, right?
No, I'm
so that's just a nasty.
She's Mafia Melania.
She does look
I
like
love
an
that.
80s fashion model, like on a shoot or something.
Well, yeah, that too, but yeah.
Execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Fucking standing ovation, bitches.
Jacob, you didn't show the part where Donald tries to kiss her and she's like, making sure like a little air kiss. That was hilarious.
Yeah, so that was what happened.
Damn it.
A lot of stuff has gone on here. Elon Musk was a retard. He did this, and now this is what everyone's going to talk about here for the next 4 years.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Wait.
Okay. I'm going to chime in on that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. First off, folks, that isn't what everybody's saying it is. For one, I was born there. Two, I've seen that damn salute enough times to know what it is, how it's done, and I've been accused of being that very kind of person simply because I was born over there.
Yeah, sorry
what
about
he
that.
did was, my heart goes out to you. Now, yeah, it's not, or it's similar, but here's the thing. I actually pointed this out on X. If there was an actual Yahtzee around and Elon did that, like that, he would have been killed for mocking their leader.
Zeke,
so yeah, when people are saying people are saying that shit, it's fucking horse shit. And honestly, there have been more accurate displays of that salute by Democrats themselves. I mean, not gonna lie. But the thing is, when you take a photo and shit like that, and yeah, videos too, I'm so sick of everybody fucking saying, oh, it was this, it's that salute. No, it the fuck ain't. Shut the fuck up. He literally said, my heart goes out to you. Hand over heart and out to the crowd. That's basically what it was. So people saying that shit, get a fucking life, get a fucking job.
I agree with you.
It's confirmation bias. It's confirmation bias. I mean, people want to see this this kind of action, and they will find it no matter where. I mean, no matter how innocuous or uncoordinated it is. So that's what this is what that all brouhaha is for me. I never even thought that.
And I agree with that sentiment. However, I'm sorry, but how fucking stupid are you? You know what I mean? Elon Musk. Like,
he has no self-awareness. I will give him that.
And granted, he's a very smart man who has accomplished things that I will never accomplish. I couldn't possibly begin to accomplish. I mean, what he's doing with SpaceX is phenomenal if you want to look at it from a scientific perspective. But like, he is so awkward. He is so terrible for the administration. He's an embarrassment, frankly. But that's fine. It's like the positives he brings, I'm sure, are there. But like, if I was associated with Trump's administration, I'd be like, can we get this guy the fuck out of here as soon as possible?
Yeah, probably for the best for all involved here. But Trump has been busy. He signed over 120 executive orders at this moment within like the first 24 hours of him being sworn in. So I mean, I can't go over the full list of things that he's done, but he's rescinded 78 of Joe Biden's executive orders, stuff like, making equity more rather than equality, and illegal aliens in the census, and mandates, and transgender whole nonsense. So a lot of that Biden era stuff has been revoked. He's also going on restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship, weaponizing the federal government against political opposition, like the people who voted for him on January 6th. Federal employees now have to show up for work. It's been like 4 years. They're still not showing up for work. Freezing new regulations in the hiring. Withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accords again, because Biden put us back into it, so nice thing is back out. Suspending the ban on TikTok temporarily, leaving the World Health Organization. So he's done a lot of things to kind of course correct, at least with the PIN, what the can does for everything. And he reopened that Alaskan pipeline that got shut down and caused all of our gas prices to shoot up too here. So it'll be
rename Mount McKinley. And rename Mount McKinley. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah. And designating Mexican drug cartels as terrorists. So there's another reason why Rick will probably be deported here. So with everything going on, Pete, I'm gonna start with you. You chiseled hair mountain of a man. What do you think about Trump back in office? What do you think about the big DT in charge?
It'll be an interesting 4 years. I hope it's a good 4 years. I don't know. It is definitely been a crazy. These last 8 years have just been wild in the world of presidential politics and news. It's just more and more craziness just keeps coming and coming. So I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm not going to start. I mean, I'm just not going to start calling it the Gulf of America. That's where my limit is. But other than that,
call it Mount McKinley, okay? And we're fine.
I do agree with that, and I want them to rename the mountain that's in my home state, which got changed under Obama. I hope that one gets changed back.
To what?
But we'll see.
Rushmore? Is that what we're?
No. It was called.
No, the other big
I
rock.
Remember what name it is now. It has. They used the native name for it. See, no one cares about this unless you live in this state.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, South Dakota is at least worth visiting because you've got Deadwood. Because I'm a history nerd, and Mount Rushmore. So, and I just watched North by Northwest, so it's always a good advertisement for South Dakota there.
I'm sorry, was it the last time we started talking about South Dakota on this show? I played this.
And I will say, I don't know what it is about South Dakota, but apparently you guys drive for shit. So I don't know if this is like a Sioux Falls thing or whatever, but I just got a very direct report that people can't drive there. So
no, that's true. They can't.
Yeah, just real quick about Donald Trump. So I have been kind of a lukewarm supporter of the man up to really the last 6 months where it was just like, fuck it, I'm voting for him. Especially after the assassination. I mean, it still doesn't get talked about enough, the assassination attempt. And I mean, he made reference to it, and it's just like, you're invincible after you come off something like you get away clean from something like that, except for part of his ear. he can pretty much do whatever he wants. He's got a mandate. He's got the full support. He already pardoned Ross Ulbricht, the guy for the Silk Road guy, which I'm absolutely thrilled by, because there's so many prosecutions that the federal government, they just throw the book at you, and you're lucky if they want to not give you a heavy sentence, because basically it's you go to court, they throw the entire possible sentence at you, and it's absolutely brutal for people that want to defend themselves or spend the money to do so. It's almost impossible. So seeing that immediate change happen, the changes to the border. I just saw an announcement that said that the Trump administration told all the government bodies that they're going to drop their DEI policies by 10 a.m. tomorrow. So, I mean, this immediate change is just great to see, even if it's largely symbolic, even if there isn't widespread change to government as we know it, it is what it is. Like, I don't expect any positive changes from any politicians when they get elected. So the fact that we're already here just shows you how low my expectations are ultimately of a functioning federal government. But, for what it is, I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But most of all, it's just going to be seeing all these people who wished I lost my job, wished I died of COVID, all these really terrible, awful things that I got in messages or whatever over the last 4 to 8 years. It's really great to see these people shriek like it's the end of the world, because it's not. It's just common sense is back.
It's the end of their world.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, then you get the opposite side of the spectrum. I don't know. You guys have probably seen it, where I don't care. I'm calling them the woke right, where you're seeing the calls for, Trump is going to do an executive order to ban porn and ban OnlyFans and all that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, dude, do you not know Donald Trump's past? Have you failed your history class or government class? Do you not know how government works here?
Well, we can't even get TikTok banned yet because there's too many people whining about it. So it's like, let's start there. Let's start there, and then we start working about the other stuff. But TikTok seems to be a bigger hill to die on at the moment.
It's just, it's so ridiculous. Like, I don't understand these people. How do you not? It really shows you the state of, and actually, they're not even like they're not even Zoomers that are saying, and maybe some Zoomers, but like these are like Gen X and maybe even some millennials too that are saying this. And I'm just looking at them like, what are you talking about? Like, did the school system just like fail everyone?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
They didn't even teach in my high school. So,
well, if you think that you can, that the president can just proclaim a constitutional amendment and just by a tweet say, yes, we have a new constitutional amendment, if they do believe that this is legal. So yes, these people do not know what they're doing. They have no knowledge.
And yeah, know what I find funny. Cody said we have child trafficking and TikTok is more important. I don't know if you follow Viral News NYC on Twitter. Like, they've been covering the situation with the migrant hotels that no one else is talking about over there. It's really bad. There's like some horrible child trafficking happening there with the gangs, with like the with some of the cartels. And they were talking about how there's migrants like raping kids as young as like at least 12, maybe even younger. Like, I think there was an 8-year-old that was getting raped and trafficked too. It is insane with what's happening over there. Mm-hmm. And these people are talking about like TikTok and banning TikTok and banning porn, and
we're literally in an era of wars and rumors of wars that are happening in real time right now. So it's like, again, priorities of the situation, people.
It's just freaking ridiculous.
They're all over the place.
I mean, one of the things, if a lot of people haven't noticed, with the executive orders with Trump, he did the no or ending birthright citizenship, which I find kind of hilarious because everybody's freaking out about it. Which
that's a constitutional amendment too.
He can.
But just listen. Let me make my point. He isn't doing it to actually end it. What he is doing is playing 4D chess while the Democrats are playing checkers. He is actually doing this so they will bring it to the court. He wants them to bring it to the court so that they can actually interpret the Constitution. He's planning on actually ending it unless the Supreme Court actually does find that there is no specificity in the amendment. But the point of the matter is they're all freaking out over all this shit, and it's as simple as, or basically, he is invoking laws that are ancient. I mean, that first one that he mentioned during his inaugural address from 1798, it's like, holy shit, man. Dude's going old laws, and I love it. Because that's the kind
I see
of
what you're
president
saying,
we
The
need.
was it the Alienist Edition Act? I'm not sure. He mentioned.
Yeah.
I heard it.
Yes, it's the same one.
Yeah.
But Orange
That
Head, I
one,
see what you're saying here, because that is kind of brilliant, because that means that SCOTUS will clarify that that the amendment was specifically for the slaves. It wasn't meant for illegal aliens or anything like that.
Right.
Like I could see his game there. That's really smart.
To question maybe Cider can give me some insight here. I don't know what the origin of the milking AOC meme came from, but apparently Twitter has like literally nuked any references of this meme that was going around on social media yesterday. So if you try to post this photo among the many other photos and videos that were circling around on Twitter, it does apparently violate X's guidelines as far as abuse goes.
Whatever.
Which is like, how's this? It's AI. It's not real. Like, how does it violate abuse? No one actually got abused.
Can we have her
It's not
working
violating
at
the
a
abuse, it's
Chick-fil-A?
just weird.
Whoa. That's just disturbing.
If you put her in like a Chick-fil-A commercial, I'm sure that'll be fine.
Weirdly enough, yes.
So someone made the statement about milking her. I forget what it was. It was either a Trump parody account or something of that nature. It was not Trump directly, but it was like part of Project 2025 is that we're adding daily milkings of AOC to it or something to that accord, that the Project 2025 is being expanded to milk AOC. And so this is where it's come from. And we were nestled in another conversation, but that's where I was bringing that up because I found this hilarious, that this is one of the failed campaign promises. This is apparently milking AOC is not happening now. And we were betrayed.
Millions of Americans are now regretting their vote.
We were betrayed. He lied to us. We will not be milking AOC on the regular. And I do have to remember that, like, about a year and a half ago, someone wrote a fan fiction about myself and AOC falling in love. They unfortunately have not linked me to where this atrocity was posted, though, but do love to tease me that it exists somewhere, and it's very detailed.
That's weird.
I mean,
yeah.
Has anybody seen that AI photo of AOC hate fucking or dry fucking a Trump or Trump pillow?
Never seen it. Never once.
I actually have not heard of any of this, and I don't know what I find more disturbing.
It was fucking hilarious.
I don't know why I find more disturbing this picture, this image of the Congresswoman with the pillow or her stripping cider. I don't know which is more frightening, actually.
Okay, what is with you and like the Jewish nomenclature today? You said verklempt, which is directly from Coffee Talk, an SNL skit. And now,
did you watch Fiddler on a Roof before you came on the show? Like,
I'm nothing against the Jewish people. It's just something I noticed. I'm like,
Oy vey. There's another.
Yeah,
one.
Please don't put that on my screen ever again. No one wants to see any of that, especially in great detail.
That's it.
Yeah.
Ew.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
She's never worked that hard at anything. So
that's the inevitable, like, 49.
Does anyone have any like good video for like her as a bartender? Was she ever even good at that?
Well, she did that little dance video, and everyone seemed to like that.
Only when she did the table dances.
Rick's in his Jewish face.
I'm just keeping things kosher around here.
Yeah.
Okay, look, we need to end this show. I need to get you guys away from here. This is going off the rails. Let's end this thing with WWE. Yeah, we're still talking about wrestling because things still keep popping up regarding the world of wrestling over the last few weeks, and now we're bringing back to cancel culture again because there were people who were upset at a current NXT superstar because she liked a post on Instagram about banning men from women's sports. That's literally the context of this entire story. This is Jaida Parker, who is one of the rising up-and-coming stars on NXT developmental show called WWE's developmental show called NXT. She's a very, very popular up-and-coming girl. I wonder why she's very, very popular. I just wonder why.
She's got a
people
nice, juicy fat ass. There you go.
Yeah, that's exactly why she has fans. So anyway, this is how this whole thing started. This is the post on Spiritual World. It was literally saying that the U.S. House has passed a bill to ban transgender athletes from competing in women's and girls sports at a federally funded level. And someone found out that Jaida Parker liked the post on Instagram. And as a result of this, people got super, super angry. So angry to the point where they started to allude that she was sleeping with other members on the WWF roster for the sole purpose of smearing her reputation, because now they know that she no longer supports the LGBTQ community in the context of men pretending to be women playing in women's sports. Now, Jaida, who I believe is a former D1 athlete, even herself, had to make a post about this, and this is what she said here on that post. She said that don't get nothing twisted. I support the LGBT community, but as a woman who is there's a lot of interludes there, but I'm just gonna see you as a woman also who's played D1 sports. If y'all can't understand that, I don't know what else to tell you. That obviously was not good enough for a lot of people who were still very, very angry. She then followed it up with this tweet here that says that basically it's 2025 and the opinion is really pissed y'all off. Yikes. So
well, yeah,
she's now the new person that people are angry with because she doesn't back all of the LGBTQ nonsense. I find it very interesting that her comeback was basically like, hey, look, no, I support the community, except for obviously the T in this situation because y'all tripping, but hey, don't make it seem like I'm not an ally, because I'm totally an ally, guys. And this goes into what we were talking about over the last several weeks now. The Hulk Hogan situation from a couple of weeks ago and how that whole thing's progressed. We've talked about the Tessa Blanchard situation, about how a couple of girls in wrestling accused her for being a racist on an alleged incident that happened almost 10 years ago. There's actually no evidence of actually taking place, but because they say it, everyone thinks that she's a racist. She ended up getting a couple, and literally mean a couple of She Is Racist chants at a pay-per-view that they did last Saturday. It was literally like 3 people in the crowd. You can hear all 3 people, but all of the headlines is like, oh, the whole crowd chanted it. It's like, you play the video, that's not what happened at all. But they all hate her, they all hate Hogan, and now they're going after this lovely black woman because she doesn't support the T in the LGBTQ. So this is where we're at now. So I'm gonna go ahead with Normie TW here, and what is your take on the wrestling community once again finding another target for them to go after, added to the growing list of people who they don't like for very, very stupid reasons?
It's just like at this point, man, I say it and it's like a broken record. Mentally ill does not even remotely describe these wrestling marks. This is why it's like it was so fun doing content, just making fun of them for the longest time. But now it's just like, these people are so damn pathetic. It doesn't even give me joy to do that anymore. Like, like I do it sometimes, but it's like to the capacity I once did it. Good Jesus Christ, man. It's like I have way too much material because every single freaking it never stops. It never stops. It's like just when you think, oh, okay, maybe I might be able, like one day, like let's say Christmas, let's say Thanksgiving. Okay, maybe this time I might have the time off to not see wrestling marks doing something stupid. But I forgot these are sewer mutants who do not have lives and who are just incredibly fucked in the head So, of course, they're going to still do this on Christmas. Of course, they're going to still do this on Thanksgiving. All they know is wrestling. All they care about is wrestling. And if you don't like the wrestling they like, if you don't basically like the wrestlers they like, they will do anything they can to destroy you. And mind you, these people do not care in any way whatsoever about the LGBTQ or like people of different races at all, because you see how quickly they're able to go after this black woman simply because, well, you know, she doesn't agree with the LGBTQ thing. And it's really got nothing to even do with that. It's because of the fact that she doesn't fall into their category of what a good work rate wrestler is, because she's an actual athlete. She looks like an actual woman, and she's actually talented, and she's not a botchy, ugly, indie darling. So because of that, and she's also not a Triple H, ass kisser as well. So there you go.
Yeah, a lot of hatred from this community. It just seems to. If you guys haven't followed this, and I know you guys are not in the pro wrestling bubble, but you guys have seen a window of it over the last few weeks. These people love to whine about shit. Like it's almost as if it's their second job, and I would say it's their second job. But let's be honest, they probably don't have a first one, so it's probably their first job.
Yeah.
Rob, what's your take on this whole situation?
Well, it's everything that's going on right now, whether it's video games or movies or, crappy Disney Plus TV shows. The ideology, the outrage is getting more attention than the actual product. So you infuse your thing with division, you infuse your thing with race, you infuse it with, LGBTQ nonsense, where it's like, it's not even about being supportive of people living the way they want to live, being free to be who they want to be. It's you have to conform to our talking points word for word, or else you're not an ally. And it's like, okay, then it's more about your need to police other people's speech, what they believe, the posts they fucking like, which, by the way, is such a low rung bar of stuff to get upset about. They like the post. That they could have liked it for any fucking reason possible that you can't even conceive of. It could have been oh, I just saw this and I liked it as I was scrolling through my feed, which, by the way, if this was on Instagram, that's how Instagram works. It's not heavy lifting in terms of, brain power. It's, hey, I like how this looks. I like that. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But it's a kind of a silly thing to measure a situation by.
You guys want to see something else that's equally cringe here? See something that's also equally bad. Just for a second, we talked about Chelsea Green here last week. You guys heard the whole story. Go back and watch last week's episode. Here's a post. Women's champion who literally just created the belt like 3 weeks ago. But she says, "In Chelsea we trust," and she posted the USA flag, the pride flag, and the trans flag. You want to know what the first comment of this whole thing is? You want to hear peak premium cringe? "As a trans woman, thank you so much for the representation today. Genuinely means the world to me." It's like she posted an emoji. She posted
Sadly,
an
I know who that
emoji.
is. That's McJuggernugget's former stupid cameraman who turned trans years ago.
So just want to show you the level of pure cringe and delusion that comes from this entire community that we're all a part of.
This is what happens when you don't have good characters, you don't have a good storytelling arc, you don't have things to keep fans interested. So it's all about political, whatever ideology or intersectional garbage.
My favorite wrestler supports trans rights. It's like,
Right. And so it's like, okay, but is the product good? Is it interesting? Oh, it's interesting because it's about you, and you see this through a narcissistic, lens. And so it's the same thing over and over and over again. All of these things. And again, I don't watch wrestling, so I'm a little out of my depth here, but I see this connection all throughout entertainment, and it doesn't matter what it is. It's we don't have anything to talk about. We don't have any stories to tell, because the ones that we could tell get in the way of our agenda. And listen, I'm the last person. I mean, I guess I have to go back a decade ago. If you told me that, oh yeah, all the entertainment 10 years from now will be infused with ideological bullshit, and nobody can even tell like a simple buddy cop movie anymore. Nobody can make a simple crime movie. Nobody can make a buddy comedy or a romantic comedy anymore. No, we have to constantly divide people through entertainment by constantly looking at ourselves through the lens of race, sexual orientation, gender, whatever, because our overlords just want to pound this shit into our heads so we can be more easily controlled. And I'm sorry that that's the conclusion I've come to with all of this, doing the Barroom podcast, looking at these things week after week, where it's like, no, I fully believe now that like they're not interested in even making good entertainment anymore, which obviously has been
they're
true for
not.
years. It's just, no, we need to brainwash the public into something. And so I don't know if Trump's thing with naming those ambassadors to Hollywood is going to do anything. I sure as hell hope so, because if I can't have my escapism, I really don't want to become political. It's not a good look for me. Okay, I'm angry anyway. Don't make me go into politics. It's not going to end well. No, but seriously, like, can we please have some fun again? This is me saying this, who's constantly asking for like exploitation movies, but seriously, can we cut all the ideological horseshit? I've reached the end of my of my rope. Okay, I can't do it anymore. Everything is just terrible all the time.
Yeah, it's that's what it is. It's like these people just lack so much control in their lives that they have to do this sort of stuff to feel as if they have some control. That's all it is. And oh yeah, Neozoic, they're both the same.
Yeah, like I said, it's not good, and it's not getting any better. That's just the way that it is in the realm of pro wrestling. But who knows? I mean, I tried to steer away from the pro wrestling thing. It just so happens that the drama has made headlines here over the last few weeks. We kind of have to talk about it. Hopefully, but this week, we can get past 7 days without someone doing something stupid that makes national headlines that we'll have to talk about here. But with the Hulk Hogan thing from a few weeks ago, then the Tessa Blanchard stuff, which is still blowing up, and now this stuff on top of this, it's like, man, you guys are really just setting a terrible example here. And by the way, a little quick update. I guess I can put this up here so you guys can see it too. If you guys noticed, there wasn't any ratings for Netflix last week. So they did their debut, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Last week they did their second show. There was no ratings for it whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, I guess the Netflix top 10 came out. So now this is how we can gauge the viewership. We're based on the current metric of Netflix, we're no longer going to know what the actual live number is. So there is no, 1.2 million people watched it on Monday night. Now they're only gathering the numbers for the entire week. According to Netflix's own metrics here, the viewership was down from global views 2.2 million. That's 37% from where it was in the premiere episode. And then the watch hours were down 53.7%. And it was say that a global rating of number 4. So a huge drop off here from the second week. I guess we'll figure out the third week's numbers as well. I find this very interesting because, as I said, they spent $5 billion to give WWE this access for their longest running show, WWE Raw. The co-CEO came out and said that, oh yeah, the show really hit our expectations with 5 million people. If we can keep that number consistent, and the second he said that, I was like, oh God, he actually thinks he's going to get 5 million people every single week. And it's like, they worked Netflix. They worked them again. When this show is like 3 months in and they're only getting like 2 million weekly people and they're like at number 9, it's like that they literally just got worked another company into duping them and thinking, oh no, we could totally get 5 million every week. The Rock's going to be here every single week. John Cena's going to be on our show. And this is supposed to be John Cena's retirement year. He showed up for the first show and he hasn't been on the last 2 weeks. So that's John Cena's retirement. He literally hasn't appeared in almost a month. So
yeah, that's exactly what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if they try some fugazi stuff where they don't even let people see the numbers or anything like that. Because once again, because it's just Netflix not wanting to admit that they were stupid enough to spend $5 billion or $5 million on just a dead product. That's all it is. They don't want to admit it to themselves. That's why they're saying it hit our expectations.
So does Netflix?
Because they can't just go out and say, "Oh wow, we really fucked this up."
By the way, for Rob Axe's question, Netflix just announced today that they're raising their prices on their service again, so everything's going up another $1. Surprise!
Do they
I'm
even
not
have the
renewing my
library
subscription.
of like WWF and WCW stuff, or is that still with Peacock?
That is currently still with Peacock. Netflix has a very limited, I guess, catalog on old episodes of Raw at the moment. So yeah.
Why? I don't know why they just didn't do their research with. Okay, what is how often do people on Peacock or Peacock subscribers watch WWF, WCW stuff included? Because was Raw with Peacock then? Like
Raw, it was with Peacock because it was on USA. Yep.
Right. So it just seems like a bad investment on Netflix's part. I mean, I know that they're getting more into live sports and stuff, but
talk to Fox. They just dropped WWE after paying them $1 billion for 5 years. They said they lost money, and you guys come around offering them 60% more money on a bad deal.
Well, they probably expected the people to flock to Netflix and maybe watch other programming in exchange for getting this big contract. I don't know. I don't know their thinking. I don't know who's playing to the what audience they're expecting to draw at Netflix, because who's really watching or invested that much into wrestling? And I say this as someone who doesn't follow wrestling, doesn't really care for wrestling. So I'm just curious, what was the thinking? What was the logic to say, hey, we're going to spend all this money to bring in wrestling, and so we could, I guess, draw more people? I mean, I don't know. There's only a certain number of people that are going to watch the Meghan Markle show now, so I guess.
And keep in mind, this is a show that, like I said, they're doing away with nightly ratings now. So now we're not going by the nightly metric. We're now going by a weekly metric. So they're bragging about the fact that they got 3.7 million views, because they admit that view metric is skewed too. That's not actual viewers, but they're bragging that they got 3.7 million views on Netflix in the course of a week. Not one night, but in the course of a week. This is a show that used to draw 3.7 million people in one night. Now, in the course of 7 days, that's how many views they're getting. The metrics really line up more with YouTube than it does with the actual traditional television show. So it's like, let's say you had like a YouTube video, a Mr. Beast video or something like that. They're going off of how many views it gets throughout the course of a week. That's not actual people who clicked or watched the show. Like, you can click on the Raw, watch it for like 5 minutes, said, "Nah, this sucks," and stop watching, and they'll just count you as a viewer. That's the skewed metric now that we're working with.
This reminds me of when, I wish Pete were still here. This reminds me of when they were touting the great success that Doctor Who was having in terms of rating, but then they started just counting like the weekly rating instead of the overnights and the live, first the live and then the live plus the week, the 7 days, and then it was just getting to a point where no one was believing their big numbers, and the numbers just kept going down. We're getting the same situation here with the wrestling, and they should. I don't know how long they're. I mean, how long was the contract for? Did they say like
it's 10 years for $5 billion? Now I believe they have an. Yeah, that's a real number. Now, I believe they have an opt-out. I think they stated the opt-out is after year 5. They can opt out if they're not happy with the deal. Some have said that they could possibly do it after year 3, but I have not confirmed whether that 3 is actually legit. But I know it's at least 5 years before they can opt out of this deal. So
it's just so stupid. It's like McMahon's not even there anymore. You don't have any reason to even... Oh God! Like at this point, I am so ready for wrestling to die already. It needs to hurry up and happen.
All I can say is that if they flop on Netflix, I don't know where they move forward after this, because, like, USA already refused to give them more money. They dropped out on Fox after Fox was unhappy and they lost money. If they didn't essentially drop the ball on Netflix, where do they go after this? Because keep in mind, Amazon has already said no to WWE. Amazon already rejected WWE. That's why they went to Netflix in the first place. So if this doesn't work out, where do they actually move forward from here?
That's what I want to know. Matter of fact, you want to know how shit of a state wrestling is in? You want to know how garbage wrestling is? It's so bad. We've had most of our guest host or whatever already leave. That should gauge you how terrible wrestling is just as a topic.
I don't know. I mean, right now they're getting on with this new deal from Netflix. Has definitely boosted them a lot. So they're riding the Netflix wave as much as they can now. And because they're charging up the butt for live ticket right now, people are spending like literally like $300 to sit in the nosebleed seats so they can go watch Bailey and Nia Jax on a Monday night. So this is how. So look, when it comes to the hardcore marks that they're milking right now, they're milking the hell out of these marks. So it's like it really just depends on how much money do these people plan on spending. Because as long as they're gonna give all their money to Papa H, then they may be around for a while. But I don't know about the media rights stuff. I mean, like I said, I feel like Netflix got worked from the jump, and it's probably gonna take them a few months or a couple years to realize they got worked.
Well, they're gonna have to figure out. Netflix is gonna have to figure out what they were going to, what they really thought they were going to get out of this deal. I mean, were they expecting all of these millions of people to start flocking to their service and then watch other programming? Well, I don't understand their thinking. I wish someone could explain what their thinking was.
I wish I knew, but I know for one thing's for sure, it's the wrong kind of people to get flocking to your service.
Let me do some quick math for you here real quick, and then we'll wrap things up. Raw's average viewership last year was about 1.6 million legitimate viewers. Let's say that all 1.6 million of those people bought Netflix for, let's say, an average of $15, right? Because you have like the $7.99 tier, then you have like the premium and all the add-ons that can be up to like 23. Let's just say 15 is a safe number, right? If all of those people did that and they bought it for a year, that would be about $288 million just from WWE's numbers alone, right? Now, of course, that's assuming that these are people who did not have Netflix prior to the show actually moving to Netflix. So that's about nearly $300 million a year. Netflix is paying WWE $500 million a year. So if every single person bought Netflix who watched Raw on cable and bought there, you would still be in the pitfall of about $200 million a year. So my question is, how is Netflix actually making money on this deal? Like, unless there's some kind of like back end, like, you know, money thing that we're not seeing here, I'm not seeing how Netflix is actually making a profit off this with how much they're actually paying WWE. Because, like I said, Fox lost money, and you're paying them like 40% of what Netflix is paying them. So I don't know where this money is coming from. But that's a question for another day. Let's go ahead and get out of here with the people that we have left. Orange Hat, we'll start this one off of you. You look like, you know, a person of interest. What do you got coming up that people can?
Well, next week I finish out my theme stream for January with my number 4 top pick from 2024, which is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Tomorrow night, I'm on Jade Shadow's channel at 8 p.m. to discuss Rocky 1. Thursday is going to be a discussion on Alita Battle Angel on my X1 2185. Friday, I'm going to be giving my political opinions on the news of the week. Political news of the week on Janet from Another Planet, as well as Orange Hat Uncensored. And then the weekly recap on Sunday at 8 p.m. And yeah, that's what I got so far. I'm also trying to get to 2,000 subs before the year's out. And if I do that, I'll do a giveaway or some shit. Also, February 1st, Saturday night, 8 p.m. to midnight, I will be doing my birthday stream. So, yeah.
All right, then. Rob, what you got coming up?
I don't know. Nothing. No.
Cider, what do you got coming up?
All right. No, it's true. There's just not a whole lot going on right now. I am trying to get as many movies in to start the year as possible. Not a whole lot out right now. Mel Gibson's new movie's coming out, I think, this weekend. So I'll probably go see that, where Mark Wahlberg wears a bald cap. So, but yeah, other than that, there's not much going on. But as always, follow me over my Twitter. When there are things worth seeing, you'll see me talk about them.
All right, now we can go to Cider. There we go.
You're muted.
I was pulling up a thing. Sorry. I was pulling up a thing. It took a second. Jeez. Sorry. Golly.
We forgive you.
I'm sharing a screen.
Oh, here we go.
It's the royal we.
The proverbial we.
So we're going to try doing a video game based like American Gladiators event over on Bounding. This is the promo for it.
Ooh.
You see it here before it's ever made into anything else. It's just a basic image. Nothing's going to happen, but the audio is going to blow your mind. It might be a little loud, so here you go. Ladies and gentlemen, over the years, Bounding's brought you a myriad of content, but nothing quite like this. We're proud to present a whole new program about love, honor, sacrifice, glory, and a whole lot of unnecessary explosions. Let's get things started. BattleMax challengers are ready. BattleMax champions are ready. Let's go! If you want to know more about what that's all about, you feel free to tune in to 01 tomorrow night at 9 p.m. It does start at 8 with the Tokyo Happy Hour. So if you want to talk anime with Nerdigans and I, that'll be available to you. But at 9 p.m., we'll start talking about stuff going on with BIC, including the future of the Bounding BattleMax competition.
Even I don't know what BattleMax is all about, but I'm here for the ride, so let's check it out. TW, it is your turn, Chime.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I just put out a review of Tyler the Creator's discography. I got some new music coming up that I might upload to my YouTube channel. I've already uploaded it on my SoundCloud, and I might be having another Seinfeld review coming up, but for season 3. And I may possibly do some wrestling videos. I don't know. It's May with capital letters. It may happen, but yeah, that's pretty much what I got going in the pipeline.
All right then, and then Rick.
Oh, hello. Well,
so you're wearing a yarmulke now? Like you really are in a Jewish state. What's going on
yes, yes. I am keeping everything kosher here. Yes, I managed to keep this when I went to temple.
Then again, you're way too brown to be wearing yarmulke. You look like maybe you're from like Afghani. Like this looks like a terrorist video right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it's been an interesting time here. Anyway, so I finished up my. I finished up my Jurassic World Park retrospective. I hope to start my Exorcist. Thank you. Shalom. I hope to start my Exorcist retrospective where I've already seen the first 2 Exorcist films, so I'll see if I can find some more. And yeah, more reviews. We've got the Oscar nominations, I believe, on Thursday, so I will probably be raging every time Emilia Perez is mentioned because, yeah, that might be the most nominated film of the year. God knows why, because, must be punish us. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. I can only guess. Roberto. So, yeah, that's it. More reviews and hope to start my Exorcist retrospective. That's pretty much it. So, shalom, y'all.
Yeah, we're gonna put some dirt on Rick's face and then ask him to do an ISIS hostage video. That's gonna be great. You infidels! No, I'm not gonna do that right now. What else I got coming up? So this coming Friday, me and Nerdigans are gonna continue our Pokemon manga series. So go check that out over on the Retro Wave. We did one last Friday. You can see on the site as well. This coming Sunday, where I'm going to be doing the next episode, the Bible Lens episode 80, and I'll be talking in more context about the whole Melody Mac, Trent, and Delarose situation from a more Christian perspective, because unfortunately, their self-righteousness, pride, and egos are now leading more people to be enemies of the very God that they claim to be preaching and selling to the world, and how self-righteous Christians make themselves enemies of the gospel. That's what we're going to talk about on Sunday. And then next Tuesday, we'll be back here with whatever the big news stories is. I'm hoping there's no more pro wrestling stories, but as you guys have seen over the last 3 weeks, these people are very, very stupid. And who knows, we may end up talking about something else next week as well. So for everyone who joined us here, for Nerdigans, for Pete, for MSK, who all were here throughout the course of the show, for all you lovely people here in the chat with us, thank you guys for joining us for another Tuesday night. We'll see you, if not on Friday, if not on Sunday, if not next Tuesday, we'll see you again. By the way, Movie House, we're working on the intro for that one, so we'll have more information about Movie House here in the coming weeks as well. So adios, goodbye, and good night. Outro.
Okay. Oh. Making your way through the daily grind takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to tune away? All those nights when you're feeling low, the rent is overdue, and your coffee maker's broken, your luck just seems to skew, and your boss is always on your case. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed and you feel the dread. The morning's looking bleak, and your internet is down again. You haven't slept all week, and your car just broke down on the way. Be glad there's a place online where you can feel at ease. In the barroom, podcast friends, we share our thoughts and tease. Every story shared, every laugh so free. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. So here's to the moments we all hold dear, in this barroom of the airways with friends so near. Every story shared, every heartfelt cheer. It's more than just a podcast, it's where we steer.
I still don't feel like I know how to shoot these things.